Chapter 1193. Awaken. Chapter 1193. Awaken. _ The icy blue planet moved like a massive meteor across the universe and dragged a long tail of red light. On its way, it had gathered energy from outer space. It was desolate, the ancient continent that never stopped moving. It had drifted across star areas and never rested. It moved like a shuttle between regions of the cosmos. Because of its movement, not many people knew where it was. The training after 10,000 years had ended. The warriors who had survived this time were kicked out of the planet. They had returned to their respective star areas through their own means. Those people had harvested a lot of precious and rare items from Desolate. At the same time, they had an excellent chance to train their mentality and improve their competence. But the most important thing was that they had brought news. An immortal demon warrior called Serene had taken the Genesis fruit from Desolate. The news that the immortal demon clan was about to rise one more time had spread out to big star areas at the speed of a rocket. It had shaken the forces around the universe. Together with spreading news, the pressure that the God Clan had put on the other forces had somehow relaxed. People started to have new thoughts. For the time being, the name Serene had become a buzzing topic in the forces and clans around the star areas. People tried to investigate everything related to this name. They hated that they couldn't dig up the 18 generations of his family. Even the forces of the God Clan were explicitly investigating the immortal demon clan's activities everywhere. They wanted to eliminate the immortal demon clan completely before they could rise again. The forces around the world became chaotic. Unfortunately, not many people knew Serene's profile and real identity. Also, they didn't know that their presumption of the rising of the immortal demon clan was just a misunderstanding. They assumed that since Serene was a member of the immortal demon clan, he must have fused with the origin of ancient demon continent. And because ancient demon continent was the cradle of the immortal demon clan, it was going to bless the members of the clan. It was too bad that they were all wrong. The ones who benefited here were the heavenly monster tribe. Each warrior who had the bloodline of the heavenly monster tribe in their bodies could sense the change happening inside their bodies. It was like heaven had shown them a direction and blessed them. Their cultivation progressed faster, and it was much easier to gather earth and heaven energy. Some warriors with the trace of heavenly monster tribe's bloodline recognized the change, but they didn't know the reason. Only the precursors of the heavenly monster tribe knew that the chance for their clan to rise up had appeared. They started to operate in the corners of the cosmos. However, they kept this secret and revealed nothing to anybody. They seized the chance to cultivate and accumulate energy. Some families of the God Clan knew that Serene came from Agate Star area. They knew his connection with some forces in Agate Star area. Mia was the member of the Fernandez family and Phelps was the core member of the Ascot family. After they had returned to ancient God continent, they immediately joined the operation in Agate Star area and revealed Serene's relationship with Agate Star area. The God warriors were nakedly invading Agate Star area. They gathered more soldiers to march to Agate Star area. The reason why Fu Wei and Feng Han suffered a big defeat half a year ago was related to Serene. However, they didn't know that. They didn't know that God Clan suddenly increased their forces because of Serene who came from Agate Star area. They didn't know that the God Clan wanted to finish Agate Star area as soon as possible because of Serene. Agate Star area had disconnected from the other big star areas in this universe for too long. This conservative star area had sealed the space passages connected to the other star areas. For many years, they had lived in their world only and didn't want to connect the other communities. If the connection had remained with the big star areas, the warriors there would have known how famous the name Serene was and how it had attracted the clans of different planets. They didn't know that the forces around the universe were searching this man and the star area he belonged in. They still lived in their own world and struggled to resist the destructive invasion of the God Clan. They didn't know the changes in the world outside the barrier. Desolate was like a meteor drifting around the cracks of the universe and flying away in the dark galaxy. It was like a shadow streak that no one could capture. The center of the ancient continent was sealed. No one could get in it anymore. However, inside Desolate was a world of marvels. The place called the Fountainhead of Powers Upanishads was always inside Desolate. It was the core of this planet and the greatest soul altar of the big races. Only souls could enter this place, and they had to be warriors who had fused with the heaven flames. They could come here to cultivate and comprehended their powers Upanishads. In the long river of time, all four ancient continents, ancient demon continent, ancient god continent, grace mainland, and god-blessed mainland produced the heaven flames after a specific period. Only the warrior who could fuse with all of the heaven flames of an era could get the origin and make it the co-soul. From 100,000 years ago, the four continents gave birth to different heaven flames after every 10,000 years. The heaven flames then scattered or fused with other warriors. In some eras, the heaven flames weren't all found, so no one was able to merge with the origin like Shi Yin, Haig, Audrey, and Tsang Yun. In some eras, it was possible for only one warrior to fuse with all the heaven flames of an ancient continent. The other heaven flames of the other ancient continents could be fused with dozens of different warriors. After they died, the heaven flames were freed and they drifted around to find new masters. The ancient times had created a lot of heaven flames with the power of the origin. Anyone who had the heaven flames could use them to enter the inner part of Desolate, the fountainhead of power Upanishad. However, only their souls could get there. And today, a body was floating quietly in the fountainhead of powers Upanishads. Countless electric spears and flames were shooting around him. The flames and starlight rivers flashed and then disappeared. They all stored the essence of some power Upanishad. His burned arm recovered without a mark. He looked as if he was immersed in a deep sleep while he was bobbing in this place. However, the vitality in his body was vigorous and his soul energy was powerfully emitting. After a very long time, today, his co-soul flew out of the soul altar with dancing heaven flames. His co-soul had a fruit inside. It acted as a heart, which transmitted formidable energy fluctuations. It was the seed of life that gave people a feeling of something with endless vitality. As soon as the co-soul emerged, a colorful space crack appeared in the fountainhead of power Upanishad. His co-soul flashed and then disappeared into the space crack. It moved through the distance between spaces to a continent and then fell. It was nighttime, so people couldn't see their fingers on Grace mainland. It was a brilliant meteor dragging a long tail of starlight that fell into the heavenly monster mountain range in the endless sea and entered the core of the earth and then got into a red lozenge crystal. It was Shi Yan's co-soul. Shi Yan's co-soul had his facial features, but it was burning like a flame. It entered the crimson lozenge crystal. This crystal was really massive. It hid in the core of the earth and connected to countless lakes, mountains, rivers, and volcanoes. It released frightening energy with a strong suction force. Different kinds of energy that the naked eye couldn't see were attracted by the red crystal and gathered from everywhere. Slowly, they filled the sky, oceans, and surface of this continent and changed in quietly. It was absorbing energy from outer space. The rhombus crimson crystal had a five-colored fluid murmuring inside. It gave people the impression that something was alive. Shi Yan's co-soul was like a fiery flame that moved around this five-colored fluid. The fruit that acted like a heart had many fine silky fibers that were like branches of the world tree. It distributed the fluid and filled the rhombus crystal. It seemed to move some mysterious power and send it to this continent. Shi Yan seemed to sink into a beautiful dream. His dream was brilliant and colorful with beautiful lights. Those lights changed continuously and turned into a mountain, a sea, and creatures. Meteors moved in this dreamy land and created a silver river or flames. Light flashed quickly and brought the truth of power Upanishad. He could even see the surging blood sea where the meanings of death power Upanishad hid. Layers of space had the power to confine everything. He could see the evolution of living beings, the death and birth of the stars. In that dream, he was just a nonchalantly onlooker who stood and watched the transformations of many things. He had something flash in his mind, which was like something very delicate that he couldn't grab. However, he was there, and he had seen them all. When the co-soul detached his soul altar, he felt so empty. But when it got into the crimson crystal inside Grace mainland, He felt so sufficient. It was the feeling of having a home for his soul, a home of his own. His brilliant ethereal extent was like a galaxy where his host soul stayed. It was his world that he had built with his faith. It was the home of the host soul. The lozenge crimson crystal where the co-soul was staying was like its house. It was a strange world that only belonged to the co-soul where it became the only God. It could feel all the emotions, happiness, sorrow, love, anger, and other emotions of the creatures living here. It could draw the change of the weather with only a flick of his thoughts. However, in Yan's eyes, it was just a dream and a fantasy one. His body floated silently in the fountainhead of power Upanishad, wandering in the strange dream. He had experienced many things. Gradually, his mind quieted down as he found himself getting out of this area. An icy blue bubble appeared in the fountainhead of power Upanishad. It covered and delivered him through a space crack. The bright light suddenly became so dazzling that nothing could compare it. His body disappeared from the fountainhead of power Upanishad. He reappeared in dark shadow ghostly prison and fell into a space passage. When he appeared there, the space passage was sealed. Yin lay by the entrance of the space passage. He was surrounded by countless space passages like light caves, which connected to other stars area, but most of them were sealed. It was the specific feature of agate star area. Yan's consciousness resumed after a long sleep. His fingers twitched. Right after that, he retrieved his mind from the dreamy land. Then, he finally woke up and recognized who he was. Yin opened his eyes, which were deep and archaic. It would have given people a mournful feeling, as if he had experienced countless ups and downs of earth and heaven. After scanning the area, he knew where he was. This place was an agate star area. It was the dark shadow ghostly prison that had so many strange space passages. Chapter 1194. Return. Chapter 1194. Return _ The images he had seen in the dream reflected once again in Yan's head. The beautiful galaxy, the development of death and life, and the magnificent space had flashed one after another. At the entrance of the space passage, Yin was like an ancient tree that had existed for billions of years with the old vicissitude of life, as if he had experienced living 100 lives and thousands of changes in this world. It seemed like he had just returned to the ancient world. It was the specific aura of Grace Mainland. Today, it was like milk in his soul. They were one now, which gave him a whole new aura. Although his spirit was still high and enthusiastic with vigorous life energy fluctuations, he had a different taste. Standing there quietly, he was checking the new changes of his soul altar and the true meanings of the three powers Upanishad: death and life, space, and star. The brilliant, galaxy-like ethereal extent emerged and floated in the void behind his head with dazzling suns, moons, and stars. The stars in there had the most magical essence energy of the world that he could use to build a mountain, lake, or any creature if he liked. Yin was shaken. His ethereal extent seemed to change and become the incipient extent, which gave him a feeling of a real thing. It was a benefit naturally gained after his powers Upanishads advanced and his soul was refined. All of a sudden, Yin recognized that while he didn't notice, his realm had advanced one more step. Now, he was just a step away from incipient God realm. The scenes in the dream and the things he had seen were actually what had helped him comprehending his power Upanishad. It provided him marvelous, indescribable advantages. Anyway, where was the co-soul? Yin was suspicious as he looked around bewilderedly. Abruptly, a connection that had crossed the endless space was formed. His soul consciousness was dragged away to the strange land that was far away. He had a strange feeling as if his soul was taken and drawn away in just a blink of an eye. After this feeling disappeared, he found a massive crimson rhombus crystal in his soul. When his soul touched the crystal, he had established a subtle, marvelous connection with the world. He could hear the screams and prayers in the souls of the creatures living in that world. It seemed like he had a pair of heavenly eyes that could observe every corner or even the deepest places in people's souls. The mountains, lakes, deserts, and oceans in this world were parts of his body. They could help transmit his soul consciousness billions of miles instantaneously. He was indeed the god of this world. After each second, this world had changed and it surged with energy. He could observe everything. He could create rain or draw the wind. He was the pulsation of this world. Something exploded in his mind. He knew what had happened. His host soul was still in his body. He was still himself, but his co-soul had gotten into the core of Grace Mainland. Since his co-soul had the Genesis fruit, it had become the soul consciousness of Grace Mainland. Just like desolate to the ancient continent, it could control the entire Grace Mainland. It was like he was divided into two parts. One was his host soul and his body. The other one was his co-soul and Grace Mainland. With the origin of Grace Mainland, he was given the consciousness of Grace Mainland. The co-soul had become the core of Grace Mainland. It stayed there to control and guard the planet. This ancient continent had become the incipient god realm of the co-soul that the co-soul could manage in silence. The co-soul and the host soul were interlinked. Once a thought came, the two souls would resonate. Regardless of how far they were from each other, nothing could stand between them. Before the Genesis fruit had completely fused with Grace Mainland, the co-soul had to stay there to guard the progress and bring a new life to this exhausted continent. After many thoughts had crossed his mind, Shi Yan's soul consciousness returned. He was still at the entrance of the space passage in the shadow ghostly prison. However, his two souls contacted each other every second. He knew what was going on in both places. The co-soul and the host soul were like his two eyes without many differences. His host soul and the realm of the body had reached the peak of ethereal god realm. He was just one step away from incipient god realm, and only he knew how domineering his real competence was. Shi Yan temporarily put aside the magnificent features of the co-soul and Grace Mainland. He began to think about the current situation. This place was an agate star area. He remembered that Shang Chun had predicted that within 10 years, agate star area would have to receive the biggest challenge. The God Clan would invade them, and they could lose everything within one battle. He knew what he should do. In this chaotic space passage hub, Shi Yan took a walk around and found that the passages connecting agate star area to the other star areas had been sealed, including the one leading to fiery rain star area. It was hard to pierce through. The only thorough passage was the one connecting to ancient god continent, which was closed before. The entrance to that space passage had been broken wide open. It looked so deep with something like meteors moving through. Shi Yan could sense life energy fluctuations inside that space passage. He immediately knew what had happened. The God Clan had operated their invasion on a large scale. Their army had come here in waves. Could the experts of Agate Star Area be able to stop them? He knitted his brows tightly. Countless thoughts flashed through his head. Shi Yan suddenly remembered Shang Chun and Yang Tian Emperor. The reason why he had entered the ancient continent was that of the soul-rotting aphis in Yang Tian Emperor's soul. Shang Chun had temporarily frozen him to control the situation. Shi Yan remembered his appointment with Shang Chen. He calmed down and decided to find Shang Chen first. He got the 7-colored demonic flower to save Yang Tian Emperor. After that, he was going to do the next thing. His soul altar spun. An immemorial space energy fluctuated from his god body. He urged his power Upanishad, and the two souls seemed to merge into one within a blink of an eye. He felt like he could directly absorb some kind of energy from Grace Mainland, which was so far from him now. This finding had struck him for a while. Sensing clearly, he found that it was just a hallucination. Bewildered, he slowly understood it. The compatibility between his co-soul and the flaming origin hadn't reached Haig's level. If he could further fuse with the flaming origin, he could do what Haig had shown him. Wherever he was, he could directly take in the power of the ancient continent. He would never need to worry about lacking energy. And for the time being, due to the Genesis fruit inside Grace Mainland, the continent could give him endless energy. He saw the new target. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A light passage was built in front of him with his will and aura. It was a space bridge. He stepped on the bridge and continuously used the space power Upanishad to build more bridges. In just a blink, he could move billions of miles through the vast sea of stars, which was several hundred times faster than the fastest battleships. Only the warriors who cultivated space power Upanishad could leap through spaces at such fast speed. He was at third sky of ethereal god realm, and because of the abundant god power he had, he could continuously create space bridges. If Jaduo, the warrior who also cultivated space power Upanishad, did the same thing, he could do it 3 or 4 times. After that, his god power would be used up, and he would be no different from a sheep to be slaughtered. Jaduo didn't have a lot of god power like Shi Yin. Shi Yin continuously created new space bridges to move through the stars at a speed that was even faster than a meteor or light. As he had just reached third sky of ethereal god realm, he could only move fast within one star area. If he could reach incipient god realm at a profound level, he could cross even an entire star area. He could use his supernatural power to create a space passage in any area to visit different star areas as he pleased. At that time, even the universe was vast. He could take a walk or wander through the borderless sea of stars. Crossing through spaces, Shi Yin felt a little tired. After moving through many life stars, he finally stopped by an area with many dead stars. His countenance became heavy and stern. From shadow ghostly prison to here, he had crossed several life stars in one blink, which was billions of miles. Along the way, he had used the soul consciousness to sense and found no traces of living beings on those life stars. Not many of them had life energy fluctuations. A small number of those life stars still had living beings. However, they were hiding deep inside the star. They were afraid of being discovered. Only one life star had many life energy fluctuations. He sensed and found that it was the aura of the God Clan. He could see the battleships of the God Clan with some experts. Shi Yin understood that the condition of the native forces in Agate Star area wasn't really good. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like this. No strong force guarded this vast area. This spoke to the fact that the God Clan had successfully invaded Agate Star area. He calculated. He didn't strike the God Clan, but he came to this area of dead stars, as he had an appointment with Shang Chen. He stopped by a barren, cold dead star and plunged into a cave leading deep down underground. Then, he found the profound triangle space formation that could connect to other spaces. This profound space formation was complex and marvelous. It had countless light dots hovering like a star map. After he had reached third sky of ethereal god realm, he had a new conception of space power Upanishad. His eyes were even keener. He looked at the star map and smiled. His soul consciousness flickered as if he was fondling the star map. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The entire space formation moved like a galaxy as he released a magical energy fluctuation, which disappeared into the core of the formation to deliver Shi Yin's message to another star area. Looking at the message being delivered, Shi Yin sat down cross-legged and waited in silence, his face indifferent. He observed that profound space formation and the materials that it was made out of. He used his soul consciousness to sketch the formation that looked like a star map in his head. Sometimes, he smiled as he understood something. He found that with his realm, cultivation base, and the knowledge of space power Upanishad, he could build a space passage that connected to other star areas when he got enough materials. Of course, he had the capacity to open the sealed space passages in Shadow Ghostly Prison too. It was even easier. If he wanted to build this kind of profound formation, he had to know the exact location of the target star area. He had to survey and certify the route of the space passage in the other star area to do that. Looking at the marvelous formation, he had sketched the complex formation in his head, which was like drawing a star map and carving it into his memory. In the future, he could open space passages and wander around the big star areas. He believed that Agate Star area wouldn't be so conservative anymore. It had to open to others. He planned on turning Agate Star area to a new page. Chapter 1195, Sea Territory. Chapter 1195, Sea Territory _ Fantasy Mist Star Area was adjacent to Fiery Rain Star Area and Agate Star Area. It was the area covered with gray mist that could even block sunlight. The strongest force of Fantasy Mist Star Area was drifting fire. It was a close-knitted league established by many big clans of Fantasy Mist Star Area to manage the entire star area. Because of the existence of drifting fire, Fantasy Mist Star Area hadn't had a war for a long time. The forces everywhere were united. Unlike Agate Star Area, Fantasy Mist Star Area had connected closely to the galaxy. This place had an area called Sea Territory, which had many space passages leading to many other star areas. The Sea Territory was similar to the chaotic space basin of Shadow Ghostly Prison. This place also had many life stars. These life stars had countless strangely shaped battleships. Some were made of beast bones while others looked like animals or even birds. Some of them looked like they were made of wood, which was so massive that they could reach even 10,000 meters. From a distance, they looked like gigantic asteroids. Many battleships were anchored by the life stars, or even hovering in the void. The Sea Territory was a busy area where many battleships moved in the hustle and bustle. From time to time, the massive battleships moved out of the space passage connecting to other star areas. Clansmen from different clans screamed, laughed, and cheered as they were transporting different types of materials and unique ores of Fantasy Mist Star Area. The Sea Territory was a big harbor of the star area that connected different big star areas. The battleships of different forces often visited the port to trade between the stars. Of course, being the gateway to Fantasy Mist Star Area, the Sea Territory was managed by drifting fire. The warriors of the Force rode war chariots around and watched over warriors from other star areas to prevent any problem. The Sea Territory was extremely rich and luxurious. Each of the life stars here was lively and busy. The biggest markets of Fantasy Mist Star Area scattered on those life stars. They welcomed the warriors of the major star areas and forces to trade massive amount of materials. The biggest life star in Sea Territory was called Cloudy Water Star. The surface of this star had many buildings of major races. Some were conical and some were rocky. There were many wooden buildings that were designed like a bird's nest. The clansmen of various clans dwelled in those buildings. Cloudy Water Star was the wealthiest planet in Sea Territory. Every day, 1 billion warriors went in and out and brought countless types of matters on several thousand battleships. Cloudy Water Sea had the biggest market and the biggest auction house in the Sea Territory. Drifting Fire had controlled this star for years. To be exact, Unlea's family of Drifting Fire managed this star. Unlea's family was one of the biggest clans of Drifting Fire. Shang Yu's grandfather was one of the big leaders of Drifting Fire. Unfortunately, the Bai family had killed him. However, Unlea's family still held a high position in the hierarchy of Drifting Fire. Unlea was the top alchemist of Fantasy Mist Star Area. She was really famous as she was the golden banner for her family, which made all the clans of Drifting Fire respect her family. In addition, Unlea got married to a good husband. Shang Chun was the fate traveler. He had wandered around the major star areas and always remained mysterious. A long time ago, some families in Drifting Fire had seized the chance and attempted to snatch Cloudy Water Star from Unlea's family since Unlea's father was murdered. Those families were really strong and many other members of Drifting Fire had chosen to stay idle to observe. Cloudy Water Star was the most bustling star of the Sea Territory. It was the core center and the pillars of Unlea's family. People thought that Unlea's family couldn't stand the attack and they would give up Cloudy Water Star to protect their family's force. However, people were astounded when the leader of the family that wanted to rob Cloudy Water Star had died all of a sudden in the critical time. He was murdered. That expert was at Second Sky of Incipient God Realm. It was one of the leaders of Drifting Fire. Unlea was an alchemist, so her fighting competence wasn't really strong. At that time, Shang Yu and Shang Qiu were still young and the power of their family was at the lowest point. Shang Chun wasn't in Fantasy Mist Star Area. No one knew where he was wandering. No one knew what had happened. But from that day onward, no one in Drifting Fire dared to challenge Unlea's family anymore. Her family still controlled Cloudy Water Star. Whether Shang Chun was here or not, no one dared to plot this star. At that time, Drifting Fire had spread out a reasonable explanation. It said that Shang Chun had befriended with the most mysterious people and evils in the cosmos. It was that evil force who had helped Unlea solve that problem while Shang Chun wasn't home. A second sky of incipient God realm expert who was really strong in the organization of drifting fire was killed unknowingly. No one could investigate this case and find the real murderer. No one had the guts to seize or plot against Cloudy Water Star anymore. Cloudy Water Star. It was a vast land where many battleships in different shapes were anchored around the imposing buildings. There was a majestic building made of icy cold rock situated at the center of the continent. It was protected with many barriers outside. There were King Godrealm and original Godreal guards patrolling around. It was the private territory of Enlia's family. They were the real owners of Cloudy Water Star. Inside a freezing chamber, Shang Yingyu was sitting while icy soul-cold crystals were planted around her. The energy of icy soul-cold crystals had frozen the entire secret chamber. This secret chamber that was several thousand square meters deep underground was now a world of snow, and the ground was now made of ice crystals. There were 4 warriors in there, talking to each other with low voices while observing Shang Yingyu. Shang Qin, Shang Qiu, and Enlia were Shang Yingyu's closest loved ones. Besides them, there was a white-headed elder woman who was supporting herself with an icy jade staff. She had first sky of incipient God realm cultivation base. This old woman was Enlia's mother, Shuzha. After Desolate had thrown Shang Yingyu out of the planet, she had traveled through rough and bumpy space passages of other star areas to return to Cloudy Water Star and Fantasy Mist Star area. She briefed them on what had happened in Desolate, and then declared that she wanted to cultivate in seclusion. She wanted to use the original incipient grade materials that she had harvested to cultivate here. She was taking in the power of the icy soul-cold crystal and the lightning balls in her hands. Enlia was very surprised when she heard that her daughter wanted to cultivate ascetically. After asking her, she knew that Shang Yingyu wished to break through to incipient God realm. Enlia was so happy. She gathered all the power of the family and asked the experts to come and guard the place. Shuzha, Shang Yingyu's grandmother, wasn't in Cloudy Water Star. However, she had dropped off her work in the headquarters of Drifting Fire to come here and protect her granddaughter. As her father, Shang Chun was also dragged here by Enlia. The family members gathered in this secret icy chamber to protect Shang Yingyu. They hoped that she could break to incipient God realm smoothly. Is she all right? Enlia had a high updo hair bun, which added to her elegant, orchid-like bearings. She was frowning and she couldn't help but ask worriedly. Her beautiful eyes were fixed on Shang Yingyu. Little Chin, you've cultivated fate power Upanishad. Could you predict something? Shuzha squinted. She thrust her ice jade staff into the snowy ground, squeezing and crushing anxiously. Dad, my sister will be all right, right? Shang Qiu also asked. Breaking through to incipient God realm from third sky of ethereal God realm was a struggling battle that had a 90% rate of failure. Many had fallen in this step. Their soul altars shattered altogether. It was hard for her family to not be tense. They knew that Shang Yingyu was amazingly gifted and that she had a bigger chance to break through since she had been trained in Desolate. However, they were still very worried. If she failed, her body would explode. It was the better case. In the worst case, her soul altar could burn into ashes. They had to be very careful. As his wife, son, and mother-in-law were looking at him and waiting for his answer, Shangchen forced a smile. I've told you many times. I can't see the fate of the ones who are close to me. I can't predict what's going to happen. Please don't ask me. These 3 had asked him the same question several hundred times. Although Shang Chun had a tough mind, he couldn't endure it. Enlia, Shang Qiu, and Shuzha looked discontented. They rolled their eyes at Shang Chun when Enlia hissed, "You useless old man. You can predict people's fates directly, but you can't know how your daughter will be. What's good for you to cultivate such a trash power Upanishad?" Listening to his wife nagging, Shang Chun only gave a forced smile, pretending that he didn't hear anything. He squinted his eyes and waited in silence. After little Yu came home, she looked different. When she mentioned that kid Shuryen, she sounded a little awkward. Enlia suddenly whispered. Granny Shuzha squinted, her eyes searching Shang Chun. Hey, little Chin, how long will you continue to hide the story of that kid? You don't even want to tell your own family about that? Who is he? What's his identity? As she came late, She didn't have the chance to listen to the secrets of the ancient continent that Shang Yingyu had told the others. Only Shangchun and Enlia knew them, but Enlia didn't know the details. This granny didn't know Shi Yin well. Shangchun gave them another forced smile. He always felt helpless when he faced his family. For the time being, I can't provide more information. Guys, give me more time. After I've solved all the things, I will tell you. It's not a good thing for you guys to know many stories. It could bring trouble to the entire drifting fire. Listening to him, Enlia, Shangqiu, and Shuja discolored in fright. Is that kid's identity really terrifying? Shuja's wrinkled face quivered. She waved her hand, her eyes anxious. Then say nothing. My heart's not good. I can't bear a big surprise. As they were a family, they knew that Shangchun would never harm them. They also knew the cause of the mysterious death of the expert who was greedy for their fortune. They knew Shangchun had secrets, which were extremely terrifying. They understood that Shangchun wanted good things for them, so they didn't ask further. It's not the right time. When the right time comes, I will tell you the details, said Shangchun. Then tell me, if our little Yu has something with that kid, will it be good or bad for her? Asked Enlia earnestly. Shangchun frowned worriedly. He pondered for a while and then said, if that kid can succeed, it will be our little Yu's blessings and our family's blessings. But if he fails, it will be the biggest disaster. We will fall into disaster altogether. Sigh, I'm having a headache. Swoosh. All of a sudden, a dazzling silver light emitted from a drawing on the wall of the secret chamber and entered Shang Chen's body. Shang Chen jolted up. He closed his eyes to sense and then said, I'm so sorry. I can't wait for little Yu. I have to go now. Why? What's more important than your daughter? Enlia rolled her eyes. That kid has returned from Desolate. He sent me messages. It's really critical. I have to go now. Shangchun sighed begrudgingly. He bowed to his wife and gave her a forced smile before leaving quietly. Chapter 1196, World Famous. Chapter 1196, World Famous _ Inside the chilly, desolate dead star, the stone platform of the space formation made out of empty fantasy crystals had lights weaving into a brilliant net. Shortly after, a 5-colored chunk appeared from the stone platform. A figure became clearer inside the halo like a reflection in the water until a real person emerged. Shi Yin opened his eyes although he had been sitting here for a long time. He focused on the man who had just arrived. He frowned. You're late? Shangchun smiled relaxedly. Little Yu's about to break through to incipient God realm. As her father, I have to protect her. If I hadn't received your message, I would have stayed there to take care of her. I wouldn't have shown myself early. It seems like the experience she gained in Desolate has affected her realm deeply. She got many treasures from Desolate, and her will also became stronger. She has a new understanding of ice and lightning power Upanishads. It's reasonable if she can break through. Hearing him mention Shang Yingyu, Shi Yin had a tender smile in his eyes. When he was fighting Harson to take the Genesis fruit, Harson had almost burned down his ethereal extent. At that time, Cecilia and Shang Yingyu had neglected their lives to help him. Unfortunately, Desolate attacked both of them. They were hit by the meteors, and they fell. They were wounded badly. Cecilia's and Shang Yingyu's deeds had touched him and made him feel warm. Although he didn't have a deep affection for them, he had a new point of view when talking about them now. Shangchun was sensitive enough to recognize the slight change in his countenance. He felt his mind sink as he thought it was horrible. Shangchun didn't want his daughter Shang Yingyu to have any relationship with Shi Yin. More than anyone else, he understood how dangerous Shi Yin was. He knew that Shi Yin was walking on a road that didn't have an exit. Unless he could eliminate all obstacles standing in his way, all kinds of struggles in this way could make him perish 10,000 times. He didn't want his daughter to cry of such hurt. Also, he didn't want Enlia's family to get involved with this. This kind of competition was related to the structure of the entire universe in the future. He couldn't see it through, so he didn't want his family to sink with Shi Yin in this mess. You've called me because of your great-grandfather, right? Shangchun pulled himself together and asked in a low-pitched tone. I found the 7-colored demonic flower, Yen nodded. I've sealed your great-grandfather in the bitter glacier of the evil North Zone. Shall we go now? Yes. I'm going to show you the way. You'll make our way and bring me to jump through the spaces. We can move faster that way. I can also seize the time to brief you of the general situation of Agate Star area. All right. Shang-Chen showed him the direction, and Yen had to use his god power to build space bridges. He brought Shang-Chen through billions of miles and many stars. On their way, Shang-Chen had told him the current situation of Agate Star area in details. The dominating god clan had invaded the star area as if no one lived here. This happened until Leona commanded the Monster Clan and Demon Clan and tried to counter them. Gradually, the God Clan sent more experts and struck the forces of Potion and Tool Pavilion, Fighting League, and Divine Light. Shang-Chen told him the details as if he had witnessed everything with his own eyes. Yan's face darkened as he listened quietly. Whenever they passed by a life star, he would release his soul consciousness to survey the area. Many life stars were in dead silence, and life stars with strong life energy fluctuations were where the God Clan's army based. Time flew quietly. Today, Yen and Shang-Chen appeared in the north zone of Agate Star area as they landed on a cold planet. From outer space, this planet looked like a massive snowball with an extremely cold aura. When they pierced through the atmosphere, they saw that the entire continent was covered in sparkling glaciers. There were so many icicles that many were like thick bushes of ice swords. Of course, it was chilled to the bone. Shang-Chen took Yen to a remote glacier, broke it, and entered the inside of the iceberg. He then lifted the barriers that he had set up there. At the center of an icy, blue rock was a lanky body with blood. It was Yang Tian Emperor. He had been frozen here for many years. His entire body and even the brain and soul altar were frozen. He didn't have vitality anymore. He looked like an ice fossil. Give me the 7-colored demonic flower. Shang-Chen extended one hand. Yen didn't hesitate to give him the treasure that he had snatched from Mia. Holding the 7-colored demonic flower, Shang-Chen became earnest. His arm easily pierced through the ice as he placed the flower that had a beautiful female face on Yang Tian Emperor's glabella. Shortly after, the demonic flower was frozen. It then shrank and got into Yang Tian Emperor's brain through a mark. Surprisingly, that mark was the blood mark, the significant crest of the bloodthirsty force. As soon as the demonic flower had entered Yang Tian Emperor's brain, his frozen sea of consciousness started boiling. Countless tiny soul-rotting aphids were hissing and screaming. They were terrified and trying to find a way to escape. The demonic flower in Yang Tian Emperor's head sounded like a sobbing woman that made people compassionate. Strangely, the tiny soul-rotting aphids were frozen, and the female crying had broken their souls. They didn't have the power to resist. While the demonic flower was crying, its energy burned. Gradually, it melted, turning into an ivory fluid and seeping into Yang Tian Emperor's soul altar. That fluid had a magical effect of cleaning the remains of the soul-rotting aphids. Yang Tian Emperor now had green blood trickling from his eyes, nostrils, ears, and mouth. The tiny bodies of the soul-rotting aphids washed away together with this kind of green blood. After the aphids were cleaned, Yang Tian Emperor slowly recovered his insane mind. His soul altar began to spin. His despair power Upanishad was urged. After this culpa, his realm terrifically advanced. Rattle, rattle. The ice melted and water was dripping. Shortly after, Yang Tian Emperor's shattered body emerged. He will need a long time to recover. His body has been damaged badly. Shang-Chen looked at Yen and said to him, although he has the immortal demon blood and his recovery ability is powerful, his demon blood is limited. If he wants to fully recover, he has to accumulate demon blood sufficiently. This ability of his is far behind yours. It's all right. I'll make him recover faster and better. A sharp stone emerged on Yan's palm quietly. It looked like a gorgeous ruby with amazing blood chi. They could even see a wisp of blood detaching the stone. Yen placed that crimson stone on Yang Tian Emperor's left hand that had only one drop of immortal demon blood, trying to heal the wounds of his body. As soon as the blood essence crystal was placed on Yang Tian Emperor's hand, It connected to his veins. Many blood-red threads flew out, covering Yang Tian Emperor's body. Within several breaths, they had covered him completely, creating a blood cocoon. Immense blood qi was released abundantly. The cocoon contained a lot of blood qi, as if it was energy in the entire body of an incipient God realm expert. Blood essence crystal. Shang-Chen hissed in surprise. He nodded as he knew that it was now pretty easy for Yang Tian Emperor to fully recover. The blood essence crystal was the top treasure of the immortal demon clan. It could help condense immortal demon blood faster. This stone was much more precious than immortal grass. As long as they had the blood essence crystal, they could even revive from death unless their demon blood all burned. Thus, healing the wounds wasn't a problem to this stone. Shang-Chen didn't worry about Yang Tian Emperor anymore, but his face was still stern. I've told you the whole picture of Agate Star area. What are you planning to do? What to do? Shi Yin contemplated and said solemnly. Of course, we have to resist with force. Do you have any good idea? Currently, Earth and Heaven energy was filling Grace Mainland. However, it had been drained for a long time, so it was going to take several years to recover until it became suitable for incipient God realm experts to cultivate again. He knew that he shouldn't move his friends and family back there right now. Perhaps after dozens or even several hundred of years later, Grace Mainland would become a normal life star that could host most of the warriors. After 100 years, Grace Mainland would be full of Earth and Heaven energy. When that time came, it would become the dream place for warriors to cultivate other than desolate. Then, Grace Mainland would bring him the most marvelous powers that he couldn't have imagined. If the ones who he cared stayed in Grace Mainland, they would receive concerns from the mighty Heaven. However, it was impossible now. The native forces of Agate Star area are defeated. They have lost their fighting will. Of course, their real competence isn't as strong as the other three families of the God Clan. Shang-Chen said frankly, if nothing unexpected happens, the native forces of Agate Star area will be cleared soon. The God Clan will claim this star area like they have claimed other star areas. Shi Yin kept silent. He knew that Shang-Chen was telling the truth. You should use your influence, Shang-Chen suggested all of a sudden. My influence? Shi Yin was surprised. Yeah, your influence. Your name Shi Yin is your influence. Shang-Chen's eyes were strange. Do you know how famous you are in the major star areas? Shi Yin became bewildered. Sha Zhao is the new rising star of the Gu God sect. He'll be designated as the leader of the Gu God sect in the future. The trip to Desolate was his last training. If he can come out alive, he'll become the leader of the Gu God sect. In addition, the Gu God sect is the first-ranked force of Hollow Fearsome Star area. Even the God Clan doesn't dare to provoke them. The Jiao brothers, Jiao Shan and Jiao Hai, are the sons of the head of the Jiao family. The Jiao family are the overlords of Sirius Star area. After they come out of the ancient continent alive, one of them will become the future head of the Jiao family. The Wu brothers, Wu Feng and Wu Bai, are from the main line of the Wu family in Prosaic Star area. The fact that they could go to Desolate has proven their position in the family. They will become leaders of their family in the future too. Mofo is the nephew of Black Wind, an old freak in Black River Star area. He's the genuine overlord of Black River Star area. He has many disciples. That Black Wind freak is a living signboard. Fuller. Shang-Chen observed Shi Yin and told him the identity of each name. Sha Zhao, Jiao Shan, Jiao Hai, Wu Feng, Wu Bai, and Mofo, and Fuller represent the major star areas in this vast universe. They could have been eliminated in Desolate without you. Today, they have returned alive and received the approval from their family respectively. Their voices matter in their families. Also, the God Clan has created resentment with these forces. Pausing for a while, Shang-Chen spoke with a smile. The most important thing for them is to look for you. Sha Zhao, Jiao Shan, Wu Feng, and Mofo are finding you using their own channels. Even after you guys had left Desolate, you are still the leader in their minds. Shi Yin was baffled. Chapter 1197. Scheme Against the World. Chapter 1197. Scheme Against the World. How could he do that? Shi Yin was baffled. He was inexplicably surprised. Instinctively, he shook his head, smiling and talking resolutely. Impossible. As Sha Zhao, Zhao Shan, Wu Feng, and the others were outstanding prodigies of the strong force, they were the new generation of field commanders. Of course, they weren't stupid. They were geniuses. How could they lose their minds just because Shi Yin had saved them in the ancient continent? This wasn't right. On Desolate, people had joined hands to save their lives from the God Clan. Since they had left Desolate, this precondition was gone. Why did they need to find Shi Yin? Shi Yin didn't buy it. Shang-Chen smiled and said to him, "You don't know yourself yet. Please enlighten." Shi Yin didn't have a clue. Of course, Sha Zhao, Zhao Shan, Wu Feng are searching for you and treating you as their leader because you have saved them. But it's not the main reason. The main reason is that you got the Genesis fruit from Desolate. It's also because you're a member of the Immortal Demon Clan, said Shang-Chen in a low-pitched voice. Shi Yin became stern. In fact, their situation isn't very different from the time they were on Desolate. The God Clan is still the biggest pressure to them. That clan will approach them. Even in here, they still need to unite and join hands with the forces of the major star areas to resist the God Clan. Shang-Chen took a deep breath and then continued earnestly. You fused with Desolate. In the future, you'll become the god of the ancient continent. That continent will become the holy land of cultivation because of its abundant energy. If they can form friendships with you, their outstanding warriors can come to the ancient continent to cultivate in the future. They can get the advantages for 10,000 years. And you're an immortal demon warrior. Currently, rumors say that the God Clan will decline and the Immortal Demon Clan will rise again. In their eyes, you're the leader who will take the Immortal Demon Clan back to its glory. Moreover, you have the identity of the heir of the bloodthirsty force. You dummy. You don't know the world out there. You're a hot potato now. They're finding you because of you are valuable. Their gratitude is just an excuse they've made up to approach you. Shang-Chen could see the whole picture. Shi Yin contemplated. After a long time, he reacted and agreed with Shang-Chen. I understand. What should I do? Simple. If they want to go with you, you can borrow their forces. The God Clan is also their enemy. Currently, the God Clan's reputation is decreasing and the God Warriors had attacked them on Desolate. If you call, they will answer, smiled Shang-Chen. Haha, so I can untie the knot of Agate Star Area situation? You can strike the God Clan hard at Agate Star Area. If you manage it well, that battle will spread your name everywhere. It's a little troublesome to contact them. We're too far away, and I don't know their star areas. I'll handle it. Puff. Some transparent crystals appeared on Shang-Chen's palm and piled up on each other. The crystals reflected Shi Yan's image. It looked like there was a bunch of Shi Yans moving into the crystal cubes. These cubes are called Magic Image Crystal. You can record your image and message here. Just tell them that you need help. I'll hand each of these to them. I'm sure they wouldn't just stand and stare. They will come with their battleships. Shang-Chen smiled until his eyes narrowed. I think they will be delighted to have a close relationship with you. They wouldn't find it a problem. Each of the passages connecting to Agate Star Area is closed. It's not as easy as you said. Eh? Shi Yin was surprised. Don't worry. Leave it to me, said Shang-Chen. Shi Yin looked at him bewilderedly. Why are you so enthusiastic? Why are you helping me in all these ways? Do you owe me money? Shang-Chen didn't know if he should cry or smile. He cursed under his breath and then talked coldly. Agate Star Area is my homeland. I don't want it to be a vassal of the God Clan. And it's true that I owe Frederick a favor. All right, let's do it. After Shang-Chen had arranged everything, Shi Yin didn't delay. He cooperated and recorded his call for help in the magic image crystals and then handed them to Shang-Chen. Your great-grandfather needs more time to recover. You should stay here to protect him. I'm on this mission for you. Shang-Chen seemed to have a good mood. He patted Shi Yan's shoulder and then left with a smile. After he got out of the icy star, he took out a hexagonal ice flying carriage from his fantasy sky ring and moved like an icy meteor. The ice on Yang Tian Emperor's body had melted. He was covered by a blood cocoon. Shi Yin could hear his strong heartbeat, and feel his surging vitality. Yin sat quietly by him to sense the changes inside the blood cocoon. He finally eased his mind. He knew that young Tian Emperor would recover quickly and his realm would advance further. The benefit that a blood essence crystal had given him was unimaginable. Chun returned to the underground of the Dead Star. After hesitating for a while, he activated the Profound Space Formation. He entered the Profound Formation, but he didn't appear in Fantasy Mist Star area. Instead, he was teleported to a dark abyss where he couldn't even see his 10 fingers. It was the most mysterious area in this universe. Not many people knew about this place where there was no beam of light or wisp of earth and heaven energy. It was just a dark void. The jet black abyss where Chen visited, the most mysterious place in the universe, was the core holy land of the bloodthirsty force. 2 pairs of eyes emerged in this dark voice. One was cold, evil, and green. The other was as red as blood. They belonged to 2 experts. Their bodies were devoured by the darkness here, so only their eyes were visible. Chen's brown-gray eyes weren't significant here, but the other 2 could locate him precisely. The green and red eyes studied him. Yin, get out, Chen snorted and said to the green eyes. Frederick, what does the bloodthirsty force want to do? Why do you want me to transmit everything? Why don't you show yourself? I have to get out to do that. The one with the green eyes had a voice filled with a death aura. While he was talking, even the atmosphere became colder, and it gave people a feeling of staying inside a tomb where a wailing ghost was licking their necks. How about He? Was he imprisoned too? Chen looked at the pair of blood-red eyes and shouted indignantly. Hey little buddy, you sound discontented. He guffawed bizarrely. It's all right. After you give the kid the guiding fruit, you're done with Frederick. Yeah, you don't owe us anything. You can leave now. About Agate Star area, it's too far. We won't mind it for the time being. Hearing him, Chen wore a sour face. Agate Star area was his homeland. Seeing this star area was stirred up earth-shakingly, he was more agitated than anyone else. Otherwise, he wouldn't have suggested Yin many things. He even proactively received tasks, too. In fact, Yin wasn't born and grown in Agate Star area. If he made up his mind and moved all the warriors related to him out of the area, he could dodge the conflict with the God Clan. But if he did that, Agate Star area would be over. It wasn't what Chen wanted to see. That's why he proactively joined this operation. As he said that they didn't want to care about Agate Star area, he had grabbed Chen's weakest spot, which made him obedient. You evil. Chen gritted his teeth. Spit it out. What else you want me to do? As long as it doesn't violate my principles, I'll fulfill everything for you. That's good, right? Maybe we'll become family in the near future. Why do we need to care about tiny things, right? His laughter was sinister and cunning. Your daughter has something in his destiny with Yin. Your power Upanishad can't predict your beloved one's life. I'll help you do that. Oh, yeah, they would be not bad at all. Chen paled. Don't talk nonsense. I will never let my daughter have any relationship with that little brat. Well, we'll talk about this later. Frederick knew he had an evil mouth and could stimulate Chen until he vomited blood. Thus, he talked them out of it. Talk about the business now. You met him. What did he say? Chen told them about the conversation between him and Yin. Frederick and he listened to him in silence. The 2 pairs of green eyes and crimson eyes floated in the dark void like lanterns. They looked indeed evil and ghostly. In this absolute darkness, they were so terrifying when they kept silent. After a long time, he said, you don't need to do anything this time. Your intention is really good. You just carry it out then. Yeah, you should deliver his call for help to the big star areas. We will have some other arrangement which won't cause conflict with yours. Chen looked at the deep green eyes of Frederick. Yeah, this time, we won't bother you, said Frederick. Chen nodded. He left without saying anything further. He disappeared from this place using some strange method. A long time after the man left, he said, we could seize this chance to create a foundation. We need to use our force. If we participate in the War of Agate Star area, we can boost him to the peak instantly. I have to contact that guy, Frederick nodded. It sounded like joints in his entire skeleton were cracking. His soul control power Upanishad has helped him control many forces. We don't even know how wide his henchmen have been spreading. It's a good chance to check, though. Okay, I'll notify him and let him join Shangchun discreetly. We will give people a big surprise. Xianhe smiled cunningly. Ask the heavenly monster tribe to take action. This time, they've gained the best benefits. We must make them share some force too. Frederick contemplated and then continued. I'm going to send someone to talk to those old men. If the heavenly monster tribe wants to move to Grace Mainland, they have to shed some blood this time. The force that Shang Chan is gathering, the force that Guy is controlling, and the heavenly monster tribe. Xianhe guffawed evilly in the dark, which sounded like an owl hooting. The Ascot family and the Fernandez family was buried in Agate Star area this time. It was good, though. If our kid wanted to make an impressive debut, he needed some famous people to bury them with. Otherwise, how could he become eye-catching? Of course, it should be magnificently big. Haha. Right. We will shake this entire universe. We will make them glue their eyes to Agate Star area. The two conspirators laughed happily in the dark abyss. Chapter 1198. There's a force. Chapter 1198. There's a force. Hollow fearsome star area. By the black blood ghost pond of Gu God Star, Sha Zhao's ferocious face was focused. He was concentrating on making hand seals, his hands moving as if he was using the grinding mill. The black blood ghost pond in front of him had black and viscous water that rose as he was urging it. Countless bugs and worms that naked eyes could see were screeching while tearing and devouring each other. The black blood ghost pond was the important cultivating area to train toxic insects of the Gu God sect. It opened only to the elders and the sect master. The other disciples of the sect could only visit this area when they celebrated the sect anniversary after every 100 years. It was the chance to eye the mysterious features of the place. Normally, this place was prohibited. No one was allowed to enter, let alone cultivate here. Previously, Sha Zhao didn't have that right. 10 years ago, he had spent a lot of efforts to get the guiding fruit to enter the ancient continent. He was just one of the outstanding warriors of the new generation. He didn't have a strong background. 10 years later, he survived the ancient continent with a lot of treasures. At the same time, his cultivating attainment and power Upanishad advanced. He was just one step away from incipient God realm. He had become more powerful. Sha Zhao had become an eye-catching character in the Gu God sect. The black blood ghost pond that was open exclusively to the elders and the sect master opened to him for the first time. Sha Zhao was cultivating the secretly imparted evil techniques of the Gu God sect. He was making countless bugs and worms eat each other to screen the most brutes. Then, he would use secret medicines to feed them and make them the Gu King. He wasn't eligible to practice this secret technique before. However, after he had survived the ancient continent, most of the elders had allowed him to start learning this technique. They gave him a copy of the textbook so he could learn it himself. Sha Zhao's position and status in the Gu God sect rose like a boat rising above the water. Many elders who didn't have a good relationship with him now chased after him to make a good connection. They had even tried to win his favor. When he was cultivating the evil technique in the black blood ghost pond, they offered him useful gifts. The toxic insect screeched and showed its fangs, swallowing others in the black blood ghost pond. Sha Zhao looked indifferent as he was using the power Upanishad in his soul altar to contact the insects and capture the most brutal ones. Sizzle! Sizzle! Two cockroach-like bugs suddenly screamed from afar and sent Sha Zhao's soul into alarm. Sha Zhao frowned and paused his cultivating. He looked in a direction. Shortly after, an old man who had a lot of infectious, swollen wounds on his face walked over with a bright smile. He was one of the elders of the Gu God sect. His name was Gale, and he had a close relationship with Sha Zhao. I got something for you. Gale threw a magic image crystal to Sha Zhao from a distance. Sha Zhao darkened his face and said unhappily, I told you to not disturb me when I'm cultivating except for... It's the accept thing that you said, continued Gale. Sha Zhao's cold eyes brightened. He didn't pay attention to Gale anymore and just opened the magic image crystal. He then saw Shi Yin and heard his voice. He listened quietly. After the image in the cube disappeared, Sha Zhao stopped his cultivation and spoke to the old man. Gale, I need a force. I want to enter Agate Star area and fight the God Clan. You should talk to the sect master yourself. All right. I think it's not going to be a problem, said Gale with a strange expression. Why do you say so? Sha Zhao didn't understand. The Great Elder doesn't like you. You know that, right? But this time, he proactively asked the sect to send our warriors to Agate Star area. He wants to attack the God Clan too. His reason for this operation is that the God Clan had plotted to kill you on Desolate. He said that the God Clan didn't think the Gu God sect was strong enough. Gale didn't understand this event either. When he told Sha Zhao the details, he also looked bewildered. Sha Zhao rubbed his head and felt a little amused. Which game does he want to play? I don't know, but I'm sure he's dead serious. He's gathering the troops now. He looks even more rushed than you. Gale waved his hand. I don't care about him. I'm going to talk to our sect master. The sect master watched the magic image crystal. He agreed. He also assigned the army under your command. They're waiting for you to get out of here to start the operation, said Gale strangely. Oh gosh, what's going on? Why are they more enthusiastic than me? What did Shi Yin offer them? Sha Zhao was baffled. Only God knows. Gale forced a smile. Prosaic Star area. It was an extremely busy life star where people could find a 1,000 square mile arena. The area was so lively and noisy with the boiling crowd of dozens of thousands of warriors. This arena hosted any kind of bloody battle that people could imagine. They had human and beast gladiators fighting against each other. They would have matches between humans and beasts, beasts against beasts, and warriors against warriors. This huge arena was divided into smaller blocks where many warriors were screaming and betting. It looked like a massive food market indeed. The women from different races with exposing dresses walked around to offer various types of wines and products. The smell of sweat, the screaming, and the roaring of beasts expanded continually. This was a completely chaotic scene. This was the life star that the Wu family had managed. The Wu family was the strongest force of Prosaic Star area. They always favored using martial arts to create a whole new world. Both the warriors and the ordinary residents of Prosaic Star area were combative. Their most preferred entertainment activity was to visit different arenas to get thrilled by watching different kinds of bloody matches. Inside the biggest arena, there was a skybox built on a high tower made of divine crystals. Wu Feng was lying on a big, soft bed there. The beautiful maids from the Sea Tribe, Dark Clan, and Water Clan were serving him with fruits and wine. He was having fun in the middle of white and soft flesh, while watching the box-like arenas down there to cheer at the interesting matches with the boiling crowd. Some warriors at Ethereal God Realm from the Wu family were waiting, their faces arrogant. Wu Feng's location was atop the arena. From here, he was like an archangel with extreme superiority, watching the creatures underneath his feet. The Wu brothers controlled this arena. Wu Feng was the owner of this place. Young master, someone delivered a magic image crystal. He asked me to hand it to you. A haughty, brawny man stepped forward and kneeled in front of him, holding out a magic image crystal. He was stooping and not watching Wu Feng's hands moving under the skirts of the beautiful maids from the Sea Tribe and Water Clan. Wu Feng threw him a glance and impatiently took the magic image crystal from his hand. He grunted, "Someone wants to ask me to do something?" Again. After he had returned from the ancient continent, Wu Feng was appointed to be the successor of the Wu family. For the time being, the big forces in the Prosaic Star area hand squeezed themselves through the crowd to meet Wu Feng, giving him beautiful maids and precious cultivating materials. They just hoped that Wu Feng would remember their names. Almost every day, people came to offer him great gifts to seek for a chance to talk to him. He got used to it. His subordinates also got used to it. Now, they treated the others with arrogant, understanding smiles. The Wu family were the overlords of Prosaic Star area. Once Wu Feng took over the control of his family, He became the most powerful man in prosaic star area. He would never lack precious treasures, cultivating materials, and beauties. Being his subordinates, they also felt proud. Wu Feng couldn't help but curse. He was still lying in the laps of the soft, white women. He opened the magic image crystal leisurely. Wu Feng jolted up. His impatient face was washed away. His eyes were now cold and dreadful ones he had when he was on desolate. He pulled himself together as he muttered, "Shi Yin, big boss." All of his subordinates were bewildered. The beauties of different races sitting by him were astounded as they looked at him without a clear clue of what had just happened to him. Wu Feng was the future leader of prosaic star area. After he had returned from the ancient continent, he was always running wild everywhere. When people saw him, they had to bend their bodies or even kneel down. They wanted to win his favor. They had never seen Wu Feng giving his good face to anybody. "Shi Yin, big boss." His subordinates and the beautiful women were aghast. They couldn't believe that Wu Feng would respect anybody that much. "Get out of here, all of you." Wu Feng snorted, his eyes terrifyingly dark and sinister. He glared at his troopers, and then his venomous snake eyes raked through the women who were exposed by him. He sent them away impatiently. They felt petrified as they ran away. They were worried that they would receive Wu Feng's anger. Before they left, they caught a glimpse of Wu Feng sitting neatly to listen to the magic image crystal. It was just a stone, but Wu Feng still showed his respect and listened earnestly. They were panic-stricken while wondering who that Shi Yin guy was and what kind of magic he had that made Wu Feng that cautious. It was almost at the same time that Jiao Shan, Jiao Hai in Sirius Star Area, and Mo Fo in Black River Star Area received the magic image crystal. They didn't act differently from Wu Feng and Sha Zhao. After they had received the magic image crystal, they immediately talked to their clans and family and requested to send a force to Agate Star Area. Magically, their clans and families didn't oppose their request. They immediately sent powerful corps to help them. They had cooperated so well that they made the others felt somehow incredible. They even encountered some awkward situations. For example, in Sha Zhao's force, the great elder of the Gu God sect was really powerful. He was just a little below than the sect master. In the Gu God sect, he was under just one warrior but above tens of thousands. This great elder didn't like Sha Zhao. However, this time, he gave Sha Zhao a special concern. He even asked to take the army to fight the enemy himself. Even the sect master was surprised. He had to find Sha Zhao and ask if he had some secret agreement with the great elder or not. Similarly, Mo Four's grandfather was Blackwind the Freak. He had many disciples scattered around. In Blackwater Star Area, Mo Fo's grandfather was the highest existence, and he was like the earliest ancestor of martial arts. However, there was a guy who had never liked Mo Fo. He was the sworn brother of Mo Fo's grandfather called by Yi Feng. This great-uncle always thought that Mo Fo was a bastard and a playboy who would never succeed. He opposed all of Mo Fo's idea, as if he couldn't stand the young man even for a second. However, this time, when Mo Fo requested to bring their men into Agate Star Area, Bai Yi Feng didn't reject. Quite the contrary, he proactively gathered the force for Mo Fo and secretly helped him adjust the extremely dominating force. Mo Fo was stunned. He thought that his grandfather had talked Bai Yi Feng into this. When he asked his grandfather, he knew that his grandfather hadn't done anything related to this. Mo Fo's grandfather also thought that Bai Yi Feng had changed. To Mo Fo, Bai Yi Feng changing his attitude towards him was always a mystery. Some similar events happened in the forces of Wu Feng, Jiao Shan, Jiao Hai, and Fuller. The superior experts who didn't get along well with them all agreed to send the warriors to help Shi Yin resist the God Clan. It was so strange, as if they had all changed. In the dark, it seemed like an invisible power was planning for everything. The major star areas in this universe had received the call. So many battleships were roaring and heading in one same direction. Chapter 1199. Experts Get Together. Chapter 1199. Experts Get Together _ Sea Territory and Fantasy Miss Star Area. Potter was standing in the deck of a slim battleship that looked like a fish. His face was heavy as he was continuously asking his subordinates for something. Potter was the great chief of Drifting Fire. He controlled everything of Drifting Fire Union. The other chiefs only listened to his orders. He was the most powerful man in Fantasy Mist Star Area at Third Sky of Incipient God Realm. However, Potter was having a severe headache at this moment. The warriors under his command were also flustered. Each of them was holding a sound stone near their mouths, shouting and demanding to know the situation. Potter had been staying in the headquarters of Drifting Fire. He was cultivating when he heard about the commotion in the sea territory. He hurried to get here through a secret teleport formation. The current situation in the sea territory wasn't normal. Recently, more and more battleships came to the sea territory. They carried warriors from different races. They all had surging murderous auras. Listening to his subordinates' report, Potter was so restless. Right after that, he came to the site himself and summoned the chiefs of Drifting Fire. He wanted to know what was going on out there. Still don't know yet? Potter thundered. Francis was the one in charge of collecting intelligence related to Drifting Fire. With a severe countenance, he said, "We've identified some of them. We found battleships of the Wu family in Prosaic Star Area, battleships of the Gu God sect from Hollow Fearsome Star Area, battleships of the Jiao family from Sirius Star Area, and even battleships of Black Wind the Freak from Black River Star Area. Also, we saw Earth Sect's battleships from Earth Eye Star Area led by young Master Fuller and..." Potter's face changed after Francis announced each name. The other chiefs of the Drifting Fire also grimaced. The Wu family of Prosaic Star Area, the Gu God sect of Hollow Fearsome Star Area, the Jiao family of Sirius Star Area, the Earth sect of Earth Eye Star Area, and the force of Black Wind the Freak of Black River Star Area were the strongest forces in the universe. Although Drifting Fire was strong, it couldn't beat these forces. Listening to the report of the possible enemies, the leaders of Drifting Fire became heavy-hearted. "Oh gosh." Potter scratched his head and said irritatedly, "Why did they gather in our sea territory? Do they have a conspiracy against our Fantasy Mist Star Area? Impossible. I didn't receive any information before this huge commotion. I didn't do anything that could cause grudges against others." Everybody was down. They came with a huge number of battleships. Each force has around several hundred battleships with dozens of thousands of warriors at Original God Realm, Ethereal God Realm, and Incipient God Realm. Francis sounded like he wanted to cry. "With the force of our Fantasy Mist Star Area, I'm afraid that we can't endure them. If they join hands, they can even attack Ancient God Star Area." The leaders of Drifting Fire were filled with terror. "We can't just sit here and wait for them to kill us. Although they don't have any strange commotion now, we should get the situation first." Potter pondered for a while and then said, "I want to talk to them myself. Prepare for me." "Yes, sir," replied Francis. He immediately took out the Soundstone to send a brief message. Many warriors of Drifting Fire also took action. They got on war chariots and flew to those battleships, asking to meet the leaders. After 1 hour, the leaders of Drifting Fire felt like they had a flame burning their hearts while they were waiting. Francis lifted his head, his face stunned when he spoke to Potter. "They said that they just wanted to use our route. They won't linger, and they don't want to waste their time to talk to us." "Use our route?" Everybody was stunned. They asked as they didn't have a clue. What kind of route? The sea territory in Fantasy Mist Star Area wasn't the biggest space hub in the universe. Compared to the sea territory of Prosaic Star Area and Hollow Fearsome Star Area, it didn't have more space passages. The other star areas had almost all of the space routes that Fantasy Mist Star Area had. Potter couldn't figure out what route they wanted to take in Fantasy Mist Star Area. He thought that it was just an excuse they had fabricated. Then, the sound stone in his hand vibrated. Potter quivered. He looked at the beautiful amber halo from his sound stone. He became serious immediately. "Precursor Shuja." The chiefs of Drifting Fire looked touched and fearful at the same time when they heard the name. They put on respectful faces and listened earnestly. "Potter, don't be so surprised. The battleships of the other star areas come here not to aim at us. You have to keep the information on the down low. Do not let the God Clan know this. They came to our sea territory to take the route to Agate Star Area. We're closer to Agate Star Area." "Yeah, that's it. Don't do anything rash to get drifting fire in trouble, said Shuja, who was Shang Yingyu's grandmother. Many warriors of drifting fire were astounded. What do you think about precursor Shuja's words? Potter finally eased his worried mind. People exchanged looks. They showed that they would listen to her words because Shuja wouldn't harm them. Then we just carry out this way. We must keep this secret, everyone. Try our best to facilitate them. Don't provoke them. Potter ordered his chiefs. The others regarded him. The secret chamber in the palace in the center of Cloudy Water Star. The icy soul-cold crystals had released an extremely cold aura that made the entire palace chilly to the bone. Shang Qiu shivered and clenched his jaw to endure the bitter cold atmosphere. Why did you make such a big commotion? Enlia glared at Shang Chun. The battleships of many forces are congregating in our sea territory. If we have any dispute with them, I'm afraid that we can't bear it. Shuja frowned. She gave a dry cough and then said, Little Chun, I'm an old woman. I can't bear such an attack. Tell me honestly, are you sure that you can control them? Shang Chun shook his head. I can't control them. Enlia and her mother wore cold faces. Anyway, don't worry. They don't dare to act rashly in our sea territory. Sha Zhao, Jiao Shan, and Wu Feng will control them. Shang Chun looked at his daughter, who was sitting still as if she was sealed by the ice. Even if it's to give face to our little you, they won't do anything bad. Because of that kid? Enlia snorted. Shang Chun nodded with a forced smile. Sha Zhao, Jiao Shan, Jiao Hai, Wu Feng, Emofo, and Fuller are the ones who will control their forces in the future. After they returned from the ancient continent, they've advanced to different levels. However, they've secured their status and positions in the clans. Do they really listen to that kid? Shuja was surprised. Although she belonged to the high echelon of drifting fire, she knew that Sha Zhao, Jiao Shan, and Wu Feng had reached the peak of power in their clans. They were going to become the real leaders in the future. Would such characters respect and consider that kid as their leader? Shuja felt funny. But Shangchen nodded and said, they will listen to that kid. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come to our sea territory with the elite forces of their families. Do they actually want to get into Agate Star area through our area? They want to help that kid fight the God Clan? How could it be? Enlia shook her head continuously as she couldn't believe it. Of course, I won't deceive you. I've asked a guy to help me open the blocked space passage between our place and Agate Star area personally. The reason why they linger here is to wait for other battleships from star areas that are further away. Once they gather sufficiently, they will depart immediately, said Shang Chun. Oh my God, the battleships are still coming. What do they want to do? Attack the ancestral star of the God Clan? Screamed Shuja. Shang Chun could only give her a forced smile. There was one sentence he hadn't said yet. He found that besides those forces, the Heavenly Monster Tribe and the Immortal Demon Clan were operating discreetly. Many mysterious forces and sects that had secluded for years also began to take action. The combined force of those forces made him panic. After this time, he knew how terrifyingly formidable the hidden bloodthirsty force was. He looked at his daughter who was sitting still and whispering inwardly. Perhaps it wouldn't be a bad thing if she was with him. A space bridge was opened. Two silhouettes flashed and then disappeared. A new space bridge was formed that delivered them like shuttles. The distance between them and Devil Blood Star was shortened gradually. Great-grandpa, how does it feel to enter ethereal God realm? Shi Yin turned around and asked smilingly. It seems like I have an endless source of energy that I can use at any time. Yang Tian Emperor was cold and stern. The blood essence crystals are more magical. The immortal demon blood has replaced all of the blood in my body. The immortal demon body is really powerful since it can enhance my overall competence by one more level. The soul-rotting aphids in his brain were cleared. His soul altar spun vigorously once again. Although he was confined for many years, his consciousness hadn't ceased. In the desperate situation where he was certainly going to die, his realm had advanced amazingly. He just needed energy and surging god power. The blood essence crystal was the top treasure that benefited the immortal demon warriors. It generated endless blood chi to help him replace blood, and give the ability to transform into his immortal demon body. Currently, Yang Tian Emperor had reached ethereal god realm, and he had just formed the ethereal extent. His despair power Upanishad was indeed an extreme power that gave people a deadly threat. Your blood chi is abundant. You just need time to stabilize your ethereal extent. After that, you will find more marvelous features of your ethereal extent, said Shi Yin with a smile. Yeah, I can feel the changes. The agate star area is in a critical time, but it's good for my realm anyway, said Yang Tian Emperor arrogantly. That year, when Yang Tian Emperor bid farewell to Shi Yin, he had received the despair inheritance in agate star area. After that, he had begun to challenge the warriors with higher realms than his. He had never been defeated. After each battle, he learned something new from the power of despair. He had defeated many experts whose realms were higher than his. The last opponent he met had a secret treasure that contained the soul-rotting aphids. Although he killed the enemy, the soul-rotting aphids invaded his brain. Fortunately, Shang Chun had received instructions from the bloodthirsty force to seal his body. Otherwise, his soul altar would have been gnawed, which could have destroyed him utterly. While talking, the two of them continued to move through the space bridges at speeds even faster than light. In a blink, they crossed several life stars. In a breath, they could travel trillions of miles. A familiar star appeared in their sights. There were so many battleships of different forces that were anchored outside this star. Shi Yin could sense many auras that he had missed. He cheered up. Here we are. Shi Yin could relax now. Chapter 1200. The King is Back. Chapter 1200. The King is Back. Today, the Devil Blood Star was completely different from other days. Many battleships were anchored outside the star. They were in many shapes and styles. Some were shattered. Some looked patched up as if they were just fixed after a terrible damage. The warriors from different races and forces scattered around Devil Blood Star. They had packed and crowded this planet as much as they could. The number of creatures in Devil Blood Star had increased quickly. Big and small, they shared the place and cultivated. Even before he had entered Devil Blood Star, Shi Yin found that the star was now heavily guarded. He could see many war chariots patrolling in the atmosphere. Soul consciousness wove in the sky like a net. Shi Yin felt like he couldn't even hide. Apparently, Devil Blood Star had become the only hope of many forces in Agate Star area. The forces and races from all around the world congregated here. They were preparing to fight against the God Clan. During this time, Devil Blood Star had so many people that any type of character, good or bad, could be found. Even though they were under a massive pressure from the God Clan, many warriors on Devil Blood Star were hot-tempered. They could fight each other even after a word. The enormous pressure had almost cracked people's nerves. Today, they were standing on the edge and were about to collapse. As soon as Shi Yin and Yang Tian Emperor appeared, a monster warrior had spotted them. He screamed and rode his war chariot to approach them. That monster warrior was a member of Brutal Dragon Tribe. They met Shi Yin once. When he recognized Shi Yin, he was so happy that he had almost cracked. He controlled his war chariot faster to see him. His war chariot carried many other warriors who were patrolling with him. Seeing his reaction, they were startled as they thought that he had just found something dangerous that made him crazy. They then watched Shi Yin with great caution. They were ready to capture him for an interrogation. The monster warrior yelled at his teammates. He had to explain to the warriors from the other forces for a while. Then, he washed his face and bent servilely to greet Shi Yin. Finally, you're back, sir. Please get on the war chariot. The warriors who he had told off dropped their jaws. This dude is a member of Brutal Dragon Tribe. Wasn't he always arrogant? Why was he servile to a human kid? Is he completely insane under the pressure of the God Clan? Shi Yin just smiled and nodded to him before hopping onto the war chariot with Yang Tian Emperor. The dragon warrior then shouted and took the wheel, madly riding the war chariot to the center of Devil Blood Star. Dash! Blood Devil was soaking his entire body in the blood pond. He was using the torrential currents of the viscous blood in the pond to increase his blood chi. Unfortunately, the effect of the blood pond was limited. The blood Chi created from the blood pond couldn't help him condense more immortal demon blood. He couldn't use the demon blood to wash his body. Thus, he couldn't promote the real intimidating power of the immortal demon warriors. Gu-tae and Bath of the monster clan stood by the blood pond. They sighed from time to time as they didn't know what to do with the current situation. Recently, more and more warriors from different clans came to take shelter at Devil Blood Star. The remaining warriors of the other forces had gathered here. They had almost taken over Devil Blood Star. Those who had lost the battle with the God Clan in their life star didn't dare to stay anymore. They had traveled thousands of miles to seek shelter in Devil Blood Star. The Fire Clan, the Ice Clan, the Wood Clan, and many other clans had united into one force before. They had guarded another area of Agate Star area. However, the God Clan had defeated them. They had come here with the remaining shattered battleships that survived the terrifying war. Currently, all of them had arrived in Devil Blood Star. For the time being, Devil Blood Star was packed. Those warriors who suffered a tragic defeat had to bear enormous pressure. They felt so distressed and hopeless. Sometimes, they burst out like a bunch of crazy people. If someone provoked them, they wouldn't hesitate to slaughter the opponent in Devil Blood Star. During this time, the forces and races sheltering here had lost several hundred warriors due to pointless disputes. They were on edge and easy to collapse. If they didn't have the ghost-like shadow of the God Clan in their minds, the issues here would have escalated to something that they could never fix. The leaders of those forces and races were outstanding warriors who were very famous in Agate Star area. Their position and status were even higher than that of Blood Devil and Bath. After they had come here, many things happened that made Blood Devil, Bath, and Gu-tae feel like their hands were tied. The three of them couldn't control the others. Helplessly, they then saw that Devil Blood Star was gradually taken over. Blood Devil wanted to break through to third sky of incipient God realm to use his intimidating power to control his planet once again. He had talked to Fu Wei of Potion and Tool Pavilion to confirm the God Clan's commotions continuously. Gu-tae and Bath came to the Blood Pond to find Blood Devil to discuss some important matters. Seeing Blood Devil cultivating, they didn't hurry to bother him and they just waited for him in silence. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The rumbling sounds of a war chariot came from above their heads. Besides the noise, they heard someone screaming strangely. Gu-tae became ferocious. He stood up and scolded. Those damn outsiders think that Devil Blood Star is their backyard garden. The Blood Pond is the prohibited area. They dare to swagger here. Those motherf asterisk curs. We should expel them and let them live or die on their own. Bath was also enraged. He lifted his face and thunder. A dragon roar echoed wildly and created terrifying sound waves that attacked that war chariot directly. Bath was outraged. No one knew Gu-tae and Bath had their power and realm increase recently and continuously even though they didn't do anything. Sometimes, after one night, they felt that their power had increased to another level. They thought that it was just a hallucination. However, during the recent battles they were startled to know that their overall competence had been enhanced vigorously. It was also the reason why Blood Devil had to hurry to go to the Blood Pond and cultivate. Until now, the friendship between Blood Devil, Bath, and Gu-tae was really good and their overall competences weren't much different. After many years, it was always like that. However, when Blood Devil fought with Bath and Gu-tae, he felt he didn't have enough power. He was the first one who had recognized Bath and Gu-tae getting much stronger. He had even asked them if they had cultivated the secret technique or swallowed any panacea of the monster clan. When Blood Devil heard Bath and Gu-tae said that they didn't do anything, he couldn't stand still anymore. He had to train harder in the Blood Pond. He could recognize the pressure from Bath and Gu-tae. Anyway, Bath and Gu-tae had the same pressure, which wasn't less than what Blood Devil had. Bath and Gu-tae often talked to Ghost Hunter. Recently, they found that Ghost Hunter's chi, spirit, and soul had changed subtly every day, and he couldn't hide his increasing power. Bath and Gu-tae could feel the intimidation from Ghost Hunter. The sound waves shot to the sky and carried the wild and brutal power that could smash the war chariot instantly. Hey, hey. The brutal dragon warrior on the war chariot discolored. Seeing the sound wave attacking, his scalp felt so numb. Warriors of the different forces discolored in fright. After Shi Yin and Yang Tian Emperor got on the war chariot, Shi Yin asked them to find Blood Devil immediately. The brutal dragon warrior knew Blood Devil was cultivating in the blood pond. As he knew Shi Yan's identity, he had broken many rules of Devil Bloodstar and took him directly there. The warriors of Potion and Tool Pavilion and Divine Light on War Chariot were so worried. They didn't know what brutal dragon warrior wanted to do. And here comes trouble. Bath had struck directly from the blood pond. He wanted to smash this war chariot. Don't worry. Shi Yin was still calm. He opened his mouth to spurt out a starlight ball. The brilliant starlight ball spun and impacted upon the sound wave immediately. A dragon roar reverberated that shook the entire place. The starlight ball shattered instantly. Billions of light dots shot out like a sprinkle. Bath's sound wave impacted with the starlight ball and then dissolved. Who dares to act rashly in the blood pond? Don't you know that it's the prohibited land? I don't care who you are. You have to bear the consequences. As Bath saw his attack being dissolved, his face darkened as he shouted. People on the war chariot were filled with fear. The warriors of Potion and Tool Pavilion and Divine Light were desperate. They knew that it was a tragic death if they messed up with that old dragon. They knew how savage the brutal dragon and the evil dragon leaders were. They also knew how ferocious those two old dragons were. Bath, you're still hot-tempered. Shi Yin laughed. As Bath grimaced, he was stunned when he heard Shi Yan's laughter. It sounded familiar. When the war chariot came closer, he finally saw Shi Yin. Bath jumped up and laughed. OF*CK. The kid is back. Gute also beamed an honest smile. The two old dragons immediately soared up into the sky and landed grumblingly on the war chariot. They grabbed Shi Yin by his shoulder and took him to the ground. They had even rubbed his skin and squeezed his muscles curiously. The other warriors of Potion and Tool Pavilion and Divine Light gawked. They looked at Shi Yin as if they were watching a monster. Greetings, Chief, Precursor Bath. The brutal dragon warrior bowed to them respectfully. Gute waved his hand and dismissed the others impatiently. Go away. Don't linger here to irritate me. Yes, sir. The brutal dragon warrior rode the war chariot, roaring and flying away. Who's that? Yeah, the two precursors of the monster clan seem to know him well. What's going on? Who's he? What is his identity? The brutal dragon warrior wore a cold and arrogant face. He glanced at the other and snorted. He's the one who had disappeared for 10 years. Everybody was shocked. Leona's master? Of course he is. Oh boy, he's back. Everybody became thrilled. They jumped off the war chariot and attempted to bring the news to their superiors. They were all excited. Today, Leona was very famous. She was even more famous than Blood Devil, Gute, and the other leaders of the forces around the star area. However, Leona listened to a mysterious man, and he was a legend. 10 years ago, they first encountered the God Clan. He was the one who had sealed the God Clan's space passage and seized the departed spirit jellyfish. He had become a legend of Agate Star area. After several victories from Leona, the rumors about this legendary character had become more of a fantasy. Today, he was back. When they were hopeless and in need of a force the most, the legend that had disappeared for 10 years returned to Devil Blood Star. Chapter 1201. The Boiling Blood Pond. Chapter 1201. The Boiling Blood Pond _ The blood pond bubbled where Blood Devil's majestic body was soaking. His pores were taking in the blood while his face was as red as real blood. Blood chi circulated through his veins with the explosions like an erupting volcano. Bath and Gute stood by the blood pond. They looked so happy. They patted Shi Yan's shoulder and screamed. Excellent. You're at third sky of ethereal god realm now. Kid, you're a little monster. You've reached third sky of ethereal god realm from first sky after just 10 years. That's 2 realms. Where did you go? Holy sh*t. I want to go there to cultivate too. Gute and Bath didn't know that Shi Yin had gone to Desolate. That year, Shang Chun came and left shortly after. He didn't explain things clearly. Of course, Shang Chun thought that he didn't need to explain to the others. Shang Chun was a universal traveler. He had wandered around for years without a permanent residency. He didn't care about many people. In Agate Star area, Bath, Gute, and Blood Devil were the outstanding warriors. But Shang Chun had met many more intimidating experts, which meant that the others were just juniors to him. Shang Chun wouldn't say much to juniors. Until now, Agate Star area was still closed to the world out there. Thus, they didn't know many things or about the existence of the marvelous Desolate. Gute and Bath were astounded because of Shi Yan's advancement. As they were the experts with powerful monster bodies, they deeply knew how strong his body was when they patted Shi Yan's body. His flesh wasn't weaker than their monster bodies. Also, they had a strange feeling. When they saw Shi Yan today, they had a dear feeling for him that they couldn't explain. It felt like Shi Yan was the one with the closest relationship to their lives. This feeling had no cause. It was like a seal existing in their bloodline. They wore contemplating faces. Shi Yan also had a feeling, but it was different from Bath and Gute. When the two of them touched him and patted him, Shi Yan had a strange feeling as if he was watching his grandchildren play. This feeling baffled Shi Yan and made him feel awkward. Gute and Bath were members of the monster clan. The brutal dragon tribe and the evil dragon tribe consisted of the most savage dragons of the dragon clan. The Azure Dragon, the ancestor of the dragon clan, was one of the precursors of the heavenly monster tribe. The brutal dragon tribe and the evil dragon tribe had descended from the Azure Dragon. They had been mixed with the other races too. Tracing back to their roots, the monster warriors living in the major star areas were the hybrids of the heavenly monster tribe with the other races. Gradually, they had built new races and tribes. Although the brutal dragon tribe and the evil dragon tribe had the holy beast Azure Dragon's blood, it wasn't pure. Thus, they weren't called heavenly monster and were instead just monster clan. The current monster clan had the bloodline of heavenly monster tribe. Gute and Bath also had that impure bloodline. No matter what, they still more or less had the blood of the heavenly monster tribe in their bodies. Thus, they had gained benefits from the marvelous changes of Grace Mainland. The purer their blood was, the more benefits they could receive, just like what the hiding heavenly monster tribe had. Although their blood wasn't pure, warriors like Gute and Bath also received some benefits. However, most of the monster warriors now had little blood of the heavenly monster tribe mixed through too many generations. It was completely gone, so they couldn't receive any boost to improve their competence from the changes of Grace Mainland. Shi Yan's co-soul had fused with the origin of Grace Mainland, which had helped Shi Yan experience the ups and downs of the continent through billions of years. Grace Mainland was the cradle of the heavenly monster tribe. As Gute and Bath had the blood of the heavenly monster tribe in their bodies, they had such wonderful feelings. Shi Yan understood it all of a sudden. Shi Yan, you disappeared for 10 years. Do you know how Agate Star area is currently? The Agate Star area can't endure it anymore. Gute and Bath shouted. Shi Yan waved his hand and spoke to them. We won't talk about this now. The other two were so surprised. Precursors, have you recognized that your realm and power have been changing recently? Shi Yan became earnest. The two old dragons were bewildered. They looked skeptical for a while and then continued. Yeah, something is changing. I don't know why, but when we cultivate, it feels much easier. We can gather earth and heaven energy faster. Our realms are increasing subtly too. It seems like someone hiding in the darkness is giving us a hand. Yeah, it's hard to describe though, Bath nodded. Shi Yan grinned. He had confused Bath and Gute as the two old men thought that they were wrong. It's not your hallucination. You guys will see. That marvelous feeling still exists and it's getting clearer day by day. Shi Yan told them solemnly. Your body has the bloodline of the heavenly monster tribe. This bloodline will help you receive boosts. It turns out that I didn't make a wrong guess. It seems the heavenly monster tribe will become stronger rapidly. Heavenly monster tribe? Gute was stunned. He mumbled, the precursors in our monster clan, The strongest ones are called Heavenly Monster. To our clan, Heavenly Monster is just a title of the best warriors in the clan. You say, it's a new race? The ancestral land of the Heavenly Monster tribe was Grace Mainland. Those heavenly monsters had left Grace Mainland in the immemorial epoch. One by one, they jumped into outer space and drifted away in the vast sea of stars. Their bloodline had blended with other races. At the same time, branches of the Monster Clan had mated and evolved into the Monster Clan that scattered around the major star areas. Gutay and Bath were born in Agate Star Area. They had never been to Grace Mainland. Due to the conservative state of Agate Star Area, they knew nothing about the Heavenly Monster tribe, and they didn't know that the Heavenly Monster experts in their legends were actually one of the most powerful creatures in this world. I'll explain later. Shi Yin smiled and walked to the blood pond. Blood Devil was still cultivating there. He didn't even notice Shi Yan's arrival. His pores were taking in and out blood to refine his bones and veins. 3 blood essence crystals emerged from Shi Yan's fantasy sky ring. They looked like crystals without any principle of shape. They had a vivid, beautiful red hue, as if they contained real drops of blood moving inside. They looked strange with the stink of real blood. At the same time, they had a terrifying blood halo. Boom, boom, boom. The blood essence crystals turned into 3 refined blood light that shot towards the blood pond. Magically, as soon as the stones fell into the blood pond, the blood inside the pond boiled vehemently. Bubble. The fist-sized blood bubbles emerged and exploded, releasing a thick blood mist with the abundant blood chi. After a dozen seconds, the blood chi in the blood pond expanded and turned into a misty curtain covering the entire pond. The blood pond was still boiling as if it was cooking Blood Devil's body. Blood Devil looked like a red shrimp while his pores were discharging dregs and contaminants like spider threads. After the dirty threads oozed out of his pores, they melted and disappeared. The blood became bright, and it gave people a feeling that they were watching something both sinister and beautiful. The drops of blood seeped into Blood Devil's veins and bones, refining his body and creating more immortal demon blood. Gutay and Bath observed the entire process. They saw Shi Yin throw 3 beautiful red stones into the pond and change it massively. Blood Devil's essence chi had reached the upper limit. The smell of blood in this area had soared up into the sky. A red light shot up from Blood Devil's head and reached the sky. It looked like a blood column had just touched the sky and created a new wonder. The blood-terrifying aura covered the entire sky. Blood Devil's blood chi rose like an erupting volcano, shooting out of the blood pond, which had sent a vibe to the souls of many experts in Devil Bloodstar. They felt so worried for him. The warriors with close relationships with Blood Devil hurried to the place and prepared to guard for him. They knew that Blood Devil was about to break through to the next level. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made such a commotion in this critical time. Many leaders of the other forces who were on Devil Bloodstar came. The war chariots were hissing and roaring in the sky of the planet, while profound experts were flying to the place on their own. Instinctively, they gathered by the blood pond. Oh, he's made a big commotion. Gutay rubbed his head. Summon the experts of the Monster Clan and Demon Clan immediately. I guess Blood Devil's commotion will attract those bastards. Just 3 small stones. See how tremendous they could create. Bath was still absorbed in fear. He shook his head instinctively as if he couldn't understand this. They all had keen eyes. From the energy surging on Blood Devil's body, they knew he could break through to 3rd sky of incipient God realm. 3 blood essence crystals aren't enough to help him reach 3rd sky of incipient God realm. It's over my estimation. It seems like I have to pay generously. Shi Yin rubbed his chin and pondered. Then, Bath and Gutay saw him taking more blood essence crystals. For pieces this time. Shi Yin threw the 4 crystals into the blood pond, making it boil even harder like a real erupting volcano. The blood chi diffusing was so astonishing. After they had arrived here, Yang Tian Emperor had kept silent all the time to observe Blood Devil. As they were members of the Immortal Demon Clan, he was so curious about Blood Devil at 2nd sky of the incipient God realm. He wanted to observe him and see if he could find something that could support his realm or overall competence. When Shi Yin threw 4 blood essence crystals to the pond at the same time, Yang Tian Emperor discolored. He couldn't help but shout. Could he endure that? In the cold place of the North Zone, Yang Tian Emperor had healed his damaged body with 1 blood essence crystal and also condensed many drops of immortal demon blood. He knew how strong the stone was, so he was afraid that Blood Devil couldn't endure it. Shi Yan's face was so solemn. He took a deep breath and then spoke. He's reaching 3rd sky of incipient God realm. It's very dangerous. When breaking through, blood chi is what he needs the most of to support the process. He needs an enormous amount of energy because it will drain quickly. He needs many blood essence crystals. I think he can endure it. Yang Tian Emperor was surprised. He contemplated for a while and then nodded. Right, his realm is much higher than mine. 2nd sky of incipient God realm. Right, he should take risks for once. Receiving the 7 blood essence crystals, the terrifying blood chi in the blood pond had shrouded the entire sky and earth. The void above the blood pond looked like it was painted with fresh blood. The light in this area had also changed into the color of crimson, dyeing the nearby plants red altogether. Experts of the other forces from around Devil Bloodstar came here. They all wore gray faces as the scene here had shocked them. The entire blood-red world had struck their sight and gave them a strange, bizarre feeling. They didn't even dare to step closer as they were afraid that the blood would stain them or the evil energy would affect their minds. They stood by the place, watching and screaming. They wanted to know what was happening to Blood Devil. Chapter 1202. Shi Yin draws a circle by the blood pond. Chapter 1202. Shi Yin draws a circle by the blood pond. What's going on? It seems like Blood Devil is about to break through. A breakthrough at this moment? So daring. Yes, the God Clan's battleships can be here at any moment. It's not a good time to do that. If he can break through smoothly, it will be fine. 3rd sky of incipient God realm is something too awesome to expect. Well, some people don't want Blood Devil to break through successfully. The crowd started to clamor. The leaders of the other forces had followed the blood column shooting into the sky to come here. They gathered and stood by the edge of the blood pond to watch and discuss. They were from the major forces that were based near the blood pond. A beefy body covering in a fiery flame shot over like a meteor. He floated arrogantly above people's heads. Chief of the Fire Clan, Yin Qi. From underneath, many leaders of the small forces boiled up. Their clamor also quieted down with a respectful visage. The Fire Clan was the strongest clan that all warriors in Agate Star area recognized. Although Monster Clan and Demon Clan were intimidating in Agate Star area, they couldn't be compared to Fire Clan. The other powerful forces like Divine Light, Fighting League, the Wood Clan, and the Ice Clan were also weaker than the Fire Clan. There was a saying that the Fire Clan was the native force in Agate Star area. This clan controlled Agate Star area and it would never change. Yin Qi was the chief of the Fire Clan, an expert at 3rd sky of incipient God realm. He was confirmed as one of the strongest experts here. In the war with the God Clan this time, Potion and Tool Pavilion, Divine Light, Fighting League, Monster Clan, and Demon Clan had joined hands to fight against the enemy. The Fire Clan cooperated with the Wood Clan, Dark Spirit Clan, and Ghostmark Clan to create another force where the Fire Clan was the leader. If the Blood Legion commanded by Leona had troubled the God Clan a lot, the Fire Clan was the rope that had stopped the God Clan's iron shoes and made them take each step with great difficulty. The Fire Clan had declared to defend Agate Star area until they died. Yin Qi made his statement that even if the Fire Clan was uprooted, they would never leave Agate Star area. The Fire Clan had earned respect from many other forces around Agate Star area. If the God Clan hadn't sent more core, the Fire Clan could have endured for a while. Unfortunately, the Fire Clan had borne a massive loss in the battle half a year ago. Their clan was damaged badly. They had to move to Devil Bloodstar and join hands with Blood Devil to prepare for a suicidal battle against the God Clan. Yin Qi looked as if he was made of lava and fire. He had a drawing of a flaming sun on his chest. This clan worshipped the sun and took in the power of the sun. However, They had the other power Upanishad rather than only the fiery sun or the fire power. The clansmen of the Fire Clan had cultivated different powerful Upanishads. They could cultivate the power Upanishads of sharp metal, gravity, or earth, and more. At the same time, they could fuse their powers with the god power of the sun. This clan was truly formidable. As soon as Yin Qi emerged, the other leaders of the smaller forces held their breaths and lifted their heads to watch him with great respect. Unfortunately, this clan wasn't a clan that understood how to fight in a formation. They didn't know how to join and cooperate with other forces. The Fire Clan was too haughty. The space passages that connected Agate's star area to the world outside were sealed by this clan. Although this clan was really strong, they had a lot of disadvantages. If the Fire Clan had promoted relationships with other star areas, or if they had studied guild combat, they wouldn't have been trounced in that battle. Yin Qi stood upright under the garnet sky like a flaming rock that could burn 1,000 years. He earned respect from people together with hatred. A cold aura diffused when another person arrived. It was an old woman of the Ice Clan. She was the current chief of the Ice Clan, Bing Jie. She was well known for her cold and unfeeling character. Not many people liked her. The Ice Clan wasn't far from Devil Bloodstar. Before the God Clan's invasion, Blood Devil, Bath, and Gute used to have a conflict with the Ice Clan. They held grudges. Because of the common enemy, they had to unite. Apparently, right from the start, Bing Jie hadn't cooperated with Potion and Tool Pavilion and Blood Devil. She had chosen to go with the Fire Clan. Due to the terrible defeat, she had to retreat and defend at Devil Bloodstar. She didn't dare to return to their star. After Bing Jie had arrived, she nodded to greet Yin Qi. She threw a glance at Blood Devil and said harshly, "He still has the mood to cultivate at this moment. I don't know what he has in his mind. How could the personal competence contribute to this kind of star war? Even if he can reach third sky of incipient God realm, he would be worn out and then killed." Everybody knew Bing Jie had a bad mouth and she didn't have a good relationship with the Demon Clan, so no one was surprised when she said that. A sparkling warrior appeared who stood between Yin Qi and Bing Jie. She was a member of the Crystal Clan whose skin was transparent. If she didn't wear a thick silky dress, people could even see her internal organs. This woman looked mildly beautiful. Her exposed neck and arms were transparent, and people could see her crystal-like veins and bones. She looked awesome indeed. She was the chief of the Crystal Clan, Jin Yuan. The Fire Clan, Ice Clan, and Crystal Clan had formed an alliance together with Potion and Tool Pavilion, Divine Light, and Fighting League. However, the God Clan had defeated them. The God Clan wouldn't be here that quickly. If he can reach third sky of incipient God realm, he will be very helpful. I'm just afraid in the case that he fails. If he fails, it will be a big strike to our warriors. Jin Yuan sighed and frowned reluctantly. Demon Clan is always a stupid clan. I think you guys are stupid too if you are counting on them to overturn the situation. Harumph. Bing Jie hissed. Her cold voice spread out so everybody could hear her clearly. Yin Qi frowned, but he didn't answer. He knew that Bing Jie had always objected to the idea of taking shelter in Devil Bloodstar. She thought that they should find a perilous place to stay and resist the God Clan. She assumed that the territory of the Ice Clan was much more suitable. Bing Jie had persistently requested the Union to go to the Ice Clan's territory. They could adjust their forces and fight the God Clan there. Yin Qi objected to her idea. After they had arrived at Devil Bloodstar, Bing Jie didn't stay calm. The current serial assaults were all related to clansmen of the Ice Clan. Yin Qi knew the cause. Bing Jie thought that their union should be the leaders and not Potion and Tool Pavilion. Currently, Devil Bloodstar was sheltering many complex forces and small clans. They gathered here to resist the God Clan, but their plans weren't clearly defined. Devil Bloodstar had 3 forces at the moment: the union of the Fire Clan, Ice Clan, and Crystal Clan led by the Fire Clan, the union of Potion and Tool Pavilion, Fighting League, Divine Light, Monster Clan, and Demon Clan, and one bigger force consisting of many other smaller forces everywhere. When the war took place, they hadn't been dependent on any party. They just defended themselves. After the God Clan defeated them, they moved to Devil Bloodstar. This force was scattered, but it was huge. If they could unite into one group, it would be very powerful. Currently, both unions wanted to take the leading role. They had started many discrete competitions in Devil Blood Star. Under the enormous pressure of the God Clan, those people still didn't want to unite. They thought that they were the one who could lead a force to defeat the God Clan. They didn't want to submit to the other. Thus, many battles happened on Devil Blood Star, which were proactively caused by the warriors of the Fire Clan and Potion and Tool Pavilion. Bing Jia was talking harshly, and all the leaders of the smaller forces on the ground could hear her. No one spoke after that. They frowned as if they were considering the situation. They had to choose the right side. While they were keeping silent, Fu Wei, Bettina and Feng of Potion and Tool Pavilion, and Feng Han, Miao Rong, and Chi Zhe of Fighting League came together with Lin Xian, the master of the Divine Light. They hovered in the void by the Blood Pond. No one had ridden a war chariot. They were floating in the sky and showing their power. As soon as Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian arrived, Bing Jia's face got colder. She shut her mouth and didn't say more. Suddenly, both parties of Yin Qi, Bing Jia, Jin Yuan, Fu Wei, Feng Han, Lin Xian, and the leaders of the small forces on the ground quieted down. They all gazed at the two people in the Blood Pond, Blood Devil and Shi Yin. Besides the earth-shaking commotion that Blood Devil had created, they had hurried to come here because they had received news of Shi Yan's return. Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian knew Shi Yin well. They knew his ability and his connection with Shang Qian. In a critical, life and death moment, Shi Yin reappeared in Agate Star area. All of them thought that it wasn't a normal event. They had to come here as soon as possible. Yin Qi, Bing Jia, and Jin Yuan also knew about Shi Yin. The only reason why they appreciated him was that Shi Yin was Leona's master. Shi Yan's identity wasn't important to them. However, his identity as Leona's master made them cautious when treating him. Leona's Blood Legion had proven their power in resisting the God Clan multiple times, and only Leona had this capacity. Today, Leona's master was back. How could they not behave? The experts were floating under a dark red sky, while the leaders of the small forces stood by the Blood Pond to watch the situation. The atmosphere became tense. Right at this moment, Shi Yin, the focus of the crowd, indifferently stepped to the edge of the Blood Pond. He walked around 10,000 meters away from the pond and then floated up into the air. He extended his hand and drew a circle surrounding the Blood Pond. A light ring as red as blood appeared in the void. The light ring was red as if it was made of fresh blood. The scent of blood diffused together with a strange, evil red hue. The light ring around 10,000 meters away from the Blood Pond looked as if blood was dripping from it. Everybody looked at it in astonishment. They didn't know why he had drawn a circle all of a sudden. However, when they saw the blood halo expanding immensely, they all winced. Even Gute and Bath were bewildered. The two old dragons rubbed their heads and guessed what Shi Yin wanted to do. After the blood light was formed, Shi Yin descended. Lifting his head to look at Yin Qi, Bing Jia, Jin Yuan, Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian, then the other leaders of the small force, he said calmly, "Anyone who crosses this bloodline will die." Chapter 1203. The Style of That Slash. Chapter 1203. The Style of That Slash. The leaders of the other forces discolored in fright. Yin Qi, Bing Jia, and Jing Yuan wore dark faces with cold intentions. They were outraged by Shi Yan's arrogance. A third sky of ethereal god realm warrior could say something haughty like that in front of a bunch of powerful experts? Who gave him such confidence? Many people put on curious faces. Even Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian, the ones who knew Shi Yin, were astounded. They were speechless too. Feng Han and Lin Xian had known Shi Yan's intimidation from Feng Yin and Zhu Bo. They knew his role in the first wave of the God Clan's invasion. Anyway, he has just reached ethereal god realm, right? The experts who were floating in the sky were all at incipient god realm. Yin Qi was at third sky of incipient god realm, though. Was Shi Yin just making a joke? The leaders of the small forces were astounded. Their faces were weird when they tried to hide their real expression. They didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Many warriors now looked at Shi Yin disdainfully. This guy is Leona's master? He got mental issues, eh? Too arrogant and haughty to know where he is. Blood Devil is about to break through to third sky of incipient God realm. It's the most dangerous challenge. I won't allow anybody to disturb him. Shi Yin retreated behind the blood pond and thundered. Gute and Bath immediately reacted. They nodded and began to gather the monster chi in their bodies, their faces dark. The brutal pressure of the peerless experts diffused immediately. Anyone who crosses the bloodline will be killed. Gute and Bath shouted in unison like dragons roaring or thunderclaps. Their voices had struck people's eardrums and made their brains buzz. Everybody was aghast. The leaders of the small forces, Yin Qi, Bing Jie, and the others observed Shi Yan's energy. Immediately, they became stern. Shi Yin could affect Gute and Bath of the monster clan. Many people thought it was impossible. The leaders of the small forces who had prepared to mock and tease him had to pull themselves together. Potion and Tool Pavilion will protect Blood Devil. We use that bloodlight ring as the border. Anyone crosses it will become the mortal enemy of Potion and Tool Pavilion. All of a sudden, Fu Wei shouted, her face cold and her beautiful eyes sparkling with cold light. She didn't try to be polite as she raked her eyes through Bing Jie's group. Fighting League will protect Blood Devil while he's cultivating. I, Feng Han, declare that whoever has the guts to cross the border will become the enemy of Fighting League. I, on behalf of Divine Light, announce that anyone who dares to cross that bloodline will be Divine Light's enemy. Feng Han and Lin Xian had stern visages when they expressed their statement, their voices reaching the sky. The entire scene was boiling. Potion and Tool Pavilion, Fighting League, and Divine Light had shown their opinions. It meant that half of the forces on Devil Bloodstar had stood on Shi Yan's side, which gave his arrogant words a solid foundation. He now had a force to resist the other's rage. No one had the guts to disdain him. The young man at Ethereal God Realm who had just returned to Devil Bloodstar for half an hour had risen a big wave. He had made the Monster Clan, Demon Clan, Potion and Tool Pavilion, Fighting League, and Divine Light reply to his call to show their intimidation. No one knew how strong he was or why the Monster Clan, Potion and Tool Pavilion, Fighting League, and Divine Light stood on his side and gave him force and power. However, they knew that as he had the guts to draw a circle and had a force that supported him, he wasn't afraid of anyone in Devil Bloodstar. He was like a king. Shi Yin sat down cross-legged by the blood pond. He was still and cold without any aura. Yin Qi was filled with surprise. He studied Shi Yin for a while, and then muttered, "A dangerous fella?" He had sounded really low that only Bing Jie and Jing Yuan could hear him. Jing Yuan was surprised as she screamed, "That young man is powerful? He's at Ethereal God Realm, isn't he? He just tried to look mysterious. It's as easy as flipping my hand if I want to kill him. He's just at Ethereal God Realm. Could he overturn the sky?" Bing Jie snorted and said harshly, "Just a man who depends on women to get a high position. I think that Fu Wei has something ambiguous with him. I heard that even Zi Yao of Divine Light and Xia Xian Yin of Fighting League are his women. No wonder why Potion and Tool Pavilion, Fighting League, and Divine Light support him. He's just a playboy. What else can he be?" Although Bing Jie's voice was low as if she was just whispering to herself, many people could hear her clearly. Bing Jie acted like she didn't know the audience here were all leading characters of Agate Star area. She didn't try to be cautious. However, people who knew Bing Jie understood that she did it on purpose. Everybody knew she was a harsh woman. Fu Wei's face was cold. She looked at Bing Jie angrily as if she wanted to murder someone. Feng Han and Lin Xian also had cold faces. They frowned as they were on the edge of explosion. The leaders of the small forces shut their mouths. They knew something would happen because of Bing Jie's words. Some of them looked at Shi Yin and found themselves amused. They wanted to see how Shi Yin would react. When they looked at the blood pond and Shi Yin, they got the answer immediately. A 10,000-meter-long blood light slashed Bing Jie as if it could cross even space. The blood light carried endless brutal power, accompanied with the power of death, Upanishad with a momentum that could bury all kinds of creatures. That blood-light column came from a sword that had many blood-dripping eyes. The 10,000-meter blood column reached Bing Jie immediately. A world of blood expanded from the bloodlight. It was an immense blood sea with many white bone islets created by corpses. The negative emotions included feeling desolate, brutal, and resentful. These emotions filled the sea and entered Bing Jie's sea of consciousness directly. Bing Jie, its second sky of incipient god realm, suddenly had red eyes and blood oozed out of 7 natural holes on her face. Her mind was controlled. Boom! A red flaming stone emerged and shielded in front of Bing Jie, reluctantly stopping the bloodlight. Crack! Crack! The flaming stone Yin Qi had thrown out was shattered. The bloodlight continued to slash on Bing Jie, who looked baffled currently. Puff! The bloodlight flashed and then disappeared on Bing Jie's ice armor. The armor exploded. Bing Jie now had a bleeding wound on her chest where blood gushed out rapidly. Bing Jie had her mind controlled, but the wound had awakened her. She shouted in panic. The space over the blood pond had only Bing Jie's screeching and cursing. The rest warriors here kept silent. The leaders of the small forces looked at Shi Yin as if they were watching a monster. They felt shivers sent down their spines. Gu Te, Bath, Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian were dumbstruck as if they got the body-fixing spell. They looked at Shi Yin and didn't say a word. Yin Qi of the Fire Clan and Jing Yuan of the Crystal Clan discolored in fear, their faces solemn. It's not true, right? Jing Yuan stammered. She looked really shocked. Yin Qi's face was dark and stern. He kept quiet for a long time before uttering. He has the capacity to be haughty. Then, he glanced at Bing Jie and snarled, "Shut up." Bing Jie shivered. She woke up from her crazy cursing. She looked at Yin Qi. "He attacked me when I wasn't prepared. If I haven't helped you, you would have been dead now." Yin Qi intervened with her. "If you feel unfair, just come and fight him directly. I won't stand in your way." Bing Jie shut her mouth. She could feel a deep fear churning from the bottom of her heart. She shot Shi Yin a malicious look, but didn't really dare to step forward to challenge him. Shi Yin didn't talk much. In front of many warriors, he sat still. However, they could see a blood sword floating behind his head and releasing earth-shaking power as if it wanted to destroy the whole world. "This is King awesome. How did you cultivate?" "You're a monster." Bath and Gute shouted hoarsely as they were filled with astonishment. One sharp slash from Shi Yin had astounded the 2 old dragons. Not only them, but other leaders of the small forces, Fu Wei, Feng Han, Lin Xian, and even Yin Qi, Jing Yuan, and Bing Jie also had no color on their faces now. Shi Yin at 3rd sky of ethereal god realm had almost killed a 2nd sky of incipient god realm expert within 1 strike. If Yin Qi didn't interfere, this had overturned their common knowledge of realms and competence. Feng Han looked at Feng Yin and Qi Zhe standing next to him and asked all of a sudden, "Did you hide something when you reported me on that kid's competence?" Lin Xian also frowned and looked at Zhu Bo. "It's not what you've reported me." Qi Zhe looked reluctant while Zhu Bo had a forced smile, their faces awkward. When they had returned to the force, they had highly evaluated Shi Yan's capacity, but Feng Han and Lin Xian just laughed as they thought that the other 2 had overestimated Shi Yan. But now, Feng Han and Lin Xian said that they had underestimated Shi Yan. It irritated Qi Zhe and Zhu Bo. They felt angry, but they didn't dare to burst out. "Well, bosses are always right then. Oh my god, he has almost killed Bing Jie. Is it true? My. I thought that I was dizzy. I thought that I was really pressured lately, so I might have seen an illusion. OF*CK. It was real." An ethereal god realm expert almost killed a 2nd sky of incipient god realm expert with 1 strike. Is this world about to change? I finally understand why the Monster Clan, Demon Clan, Potion and Tool Pavilion, Divine Light, and Fighting League stay on his side when he calls. I got it. Me too. Many leaders of the small forces became boisterous. They looked so odd, though. "We mean no harm. You guys have worried too much. We should go then. Hey brothers, after Blood Devil wakes up, tell him I said congratulations." Yin Qi shouted from a distance. He shot Shi Yin a look and then turned around to fly back. I wish Blood Devil to come to the next level. Jing Yuan slightly bowed, smiled, and then left. Bing Jie bit her lower lip. She didn't say anything before turning around and leaving in distress. Shi Yin sat nonchalantly by the blood pond. He closed his eyes and didn't pay attention to the boisterous crowd. Chapter 1204. It's good that you can come back. Chapter 1204. It's good that you can come back. Yin Qi, Bing Jie, and Jing Yuan leaving didn't affect the others. The leaders of the small forces still lingered. They stood away from the bloodline and watched Shi Yin. All looked dumbstruck. One warrior blending in the crowd had an odd face. He looked aghast as he muttered. This man was Ai Fu from Broken Star City, who used to do business with Shi Yin. Ai Fu wanted the 1,000-fold lotus a lot, so he had sent his men to watch Shi Yin. He knew what Shi Yin had done in Broken Star Field. At that time, Ai Fu could rise the storm in Broken Star Field by using his grandfather's reputation at the incipient God Realm. Shi Yin had caused Broken Star Field's detachment, which also shattered Broken Star City. Ai Fu hated him the most. He wanted to take revenge. However, Shi Yin had disappeared from Broken Star Field. After that, Blood Devil had sent his experts to clean up all the forces that had attacked Shi Yin. Lucky for him, Ai Fu had managed to escape. Due to the great change of Agate Star area, Ai Fu had used his grandfather's connection to get to Devil Blood Star. His grandfather had a close connection with Divine Light, so his life in Devil Blood Star wasn't really bad. Is that him? Ai Fu's grandfather lowered his voice and asked. Ai Fu nodded, his face glum. It's him. Don't mess with him. Ai Fu's grandpa reminded him strictly. How dare I? Ai Fu forced a smile. After a long time, Shi Yin wasn't a warrior who Ai Fu could predict anymore. What had happened in Broken Star area seemed to be a fantasy story to Ai Fu. In that year, he had made use of his grandfather's relationship with Divine Light to buy many battleships and materials to do business in Broken Star City. He had a successful business. That year, Shi Yin was just a little character with his newly founded talent. Ai Fu didn't think that he could make anything big. Today, the name Shi Yin had stirred up the entire Agate Star area. He had almost killed Bing Jie, the chief of the Ice Clan. Yin Qi had to be afraid of him. Ai Fu felt like he was having a bad dream, which made him sigh continuously. He now recognized that the distance between him and Shi Yin was like a wide river that he could never cross. He would never catch up with Shi Yin for the rest of his life. After Yin Qi's team left, Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian still stayed. They landed and stood outside the Bloodlight Ring. Fu Wei and the other two also followed Shi Yan's rule. They didn't cross the line and just talked with each other in a low-pitched tone. The leaders of the small forces were excited. They gathered by Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian. They smiled and tried to create good relationships with them. Ai Fu's grandfather was there too. Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian exchanged looks. They knew that this crowd was frightened after seeing Shi Yan's power. Since they knew the big leaders had a good relationship with Shi Yin, they wanted to stay on their side. The issue that had troubled Fu Wei for a long time was solved after Shi Yan's attack. Fu Wei and the other two were surprised. They watched Shi Yin from a distance, who was sitting still. They thought that he was so mysterious. He had left for 10 years, and now when he came back, his eyes looked profound and experienced, as if he had suffered a good deal of trouble and grown up. When Fu Wei looked at him, her beautiful eyes had a strange light and her heart shivered. Dash. Blurp. Blurp. In the blood pond, Blood Devil's frame sounded like frying beans. Dirty contaminants oozed out of his pores. His soul altar spun, and his death and light power Upanishads took turns to emerge. He had boiled the entire blood pond. The intimidatingly powerful blood chi from his body became more terrifying. Shortly after, he had transformed into the immortal demon body with many spikes jutting out from his skin. His god body transformed and burned the immortal demon blood. The power Upanishads in his soul altar began to surge. Shi Yan's face was serious. He watched Blood Devil in silence and didn't dare to relax by even blinking. He knew Blood Devil's breakthrough had come to the critical point. If he acted recklessly, he couldn't bear the consequence. Gute and Bath were tense. They focused on Blood Devil and didn't get distracted for even in a minute. They were guarding him. A long, long time after that, Blood Devil had a blood cocoon covering his entire body. It was a unique dormant mode of the immortal demon warriors. The terrifying energy fluctuation from him slowly calmed down. Yin, Bath, and Gute could finally exhale in relief. They knew that when Blood Devil broke the cocoon, he would reach third sky of incipient god realm and his fighting competence would increase marvelously. The onlookers were also excited. They looked at the others with great respect. The experts at third sky of incipient god realm were the highest known existences until now. Their powers were so formidable and their realms were profound and mysterious. If such an expert participated, their war against the God Clan would be more secure. Of course, they had to be happy. Is third sky of incipient god realm the upper limit of realms? Yin asked all of a sudden. Gute and Bath were surprised. The two old dragons contemplated, and then Gute answered, I don't think so. I heard that the next realm after incipient god realm is called immortal. Some traveler from another star area told us when he visited our monster clan's territory. We don't know if it's true or not. Bath nodded. We have never seen any expert breaking through to the realm after incipient god realm anyway. I think it's just a legend. Maybe such a thing doesn't exist. Immortal? Yin squinted and contemplated. I heard him say that someone in this world has reached immortal realm. The current chief of the God Clan is an example. They say he's reached the immortal realm, said Gute. What does that immortal mean? The person never dies? Asked Yin. Gute and Bath shook their heads. They just knew that if the expert could advance further from incipient god realm, they would become immortal realm experts. They didn't know the supernatural powers of that realm. In this vast agate star area, there was no warrior who had a higher realm than incipient god realm. The history records of the clans in agate star area didn't have anything about this profound realm. Agate star area was closed, so the information they had was limited. They didn't know much about the world out there. Why can't I see the others? Ghost Hunter, McGee, Guimo, Xiaoxianyan, and Ziyao. Where are they? Why I haven't met anyone here yet? Yin put aside the immortal realm thing and asked the second question he was concerned about. They are cultivating in seclusion, answered Gute. Ghost Hunter, McGee, and the other juniors still have room to grow. Recently, we have given them all kinds of cultivating materials that we have stashed for years. They could use them to enhance their competences. When the God Clan invades Agate Star area, we can't even keep our homes. We don't regret those rare precious earth and heaven treasures. We gave them all. Those kids are forced to cultivate. Before the God Clan comes, they won't get out. We are the old men who got stuck in our realms. We can't break through shortly, so we won't waste time for it, added Bath. Monster Clan, Divine Light, and Fighting League were the powerful forces of Agate Star area. After thousands of years of accumulation, they had many precious things that supported the warriors' cultivation. Before the invasion, they had saved all those things to use them at a critical time to increase their powers quickly. Since the God Clan had come, they had made the world chaotic. The materials those experts had stashed for years were now revealed and used for their juniors. The juniors who still had a lot of room to grow like Ghost Hunter, McGee, Goemo, Xiaoxianyan, and Ziya received these benefits. They used precious cultivating materials to increase their powers. When the God Clan came, they would have more strength to resist. The warriors of the Yang family like Yangamo and Yangzhua also had the immortal demon bloodline. Blood Devil had treated them as his family members. Blood Devil had asked them to seclude and cultivate. They could use the precious treasures that Blood Devil had collected to cultivate. Thus, when Yin came back, he found that the auras of the ones he knew were deep underground or in the river. Many of them were sealed behind the restrictions or the barriers. Yin couldn't see what was happening to them. He thought they were trouble. Yin. Fu Wei stayed in front of the bloodline. She called him, her eyes bright as she smiled gently. Can we talk? Go talk to her. Fu Wei is now master of the potion and tool pavilion. She's the soul of our league. She has spent a lot of efforts during these 10 years to resist the God Clan's invasion. The God Clan has almost killed her several times. This little girl had to struggle a lot, said Gute. Yeah, it's not easy for this little girl. She had to endure a lot of things to control potion and tool pavilion. Before she could relax, the God Clan had broken the space passage. If she hadn't gathered forces from everywhere, the God Clan could have been swaggering around Agate's star area. She has transported the preserved battleships of Potion and Tool Pavilion to the other forces for free so they could resist the God Clan. That's how we temporarily stopped the God Clan. That little girl is quite the character. Batha praised her. Apparently, Fu Wei had used her way to earn an honest approval from the two old dragons. Shi Yin was surprised. He nodded to Fu Wei and stepped forward. Like a bolt of lightning, he crossed the bloodline in just a blink and stood in front of Fu Wei, Feng Han, Lin Xian, Qizhe, Feng Yin, and Zhu Bo. As Feng Han and Lin Xian were talking to the leaders of the small forces, they stopped and signaled those warriors to leave when they saw him coming. Ai Fu's grandfather was in that group too. Although they wanted to stay to listen, they couldn't. They had to go back to leave space for the top warriors to discuss. You're back, Fu Wei smiled gently. It's good that you're back. It was the first time that Feng Han and Lin Xian saw Shi Yin. They stood and said nothing, just observing each of his moves. They wanted to know how Shi Yin was. It didn't work when they listened to their subordinates' reports about him. They wanted to use their senses to have a better assessment. You've been in trouble for 10 years, Shi Yin smiled gently. Oh, haha, without the cannon you gave me, I couldn't become the pavilion master of Potion and Tool Pavilion. All thanks to you, Fu Wei replied. Feng Han and Lin Xian were discreetly shocked. Being the master of Potion and Tool Pavilion, she was the most powerful woman in Agate Star area. When talking to Feng Han and Lin Xian, Fu Wei didn't have any pressure since she had a high position and status too. Her makings were now so solemn that not many people dared to look at her in the eyes. After a long time, she had a faint pride that was hardly perceptible. Today, when Fu Wei faced Shi Yin, she didn't look arrogant or proud. Quite strangely, she looked like a little simple girl who was a bit shy and anxious when talking to a man. Feng Han and Lin Xian found it strange, though. They suddenly remembered what Bingjia had said about Fu Wei and Shi Yin. There was something ambiguous between them. It looked like Bingjia was right. Feng Han and Lin Xian were baffled. Chapter 1205. March to the Front. Chapter 1205. March to the Front. Undersir. Sea Territory, Fantasy Mist Star Area. The space passages looked like shining blades that were scattered here and there in the center of the sea territory. Dozens of thousands of polishing battleships gathered like islands. Potter, the leader of Drifting Fire, couldn't sleep or eat when he saw the massive amount of battleships. He didn't have the mood to do anything but worry. Potter didn't dare to act rashly. He had spread his orders and prohibited Drifting Fire to have any conflict with the others. He understood that he couldn't bear the consequence of provoking those people. The current time was a torment to Potter. Fortunately, his nightmare was about to be over. Seeing the space passage open, he exhaled in relief. Dash! The misty atmosphere layer of cloudy water star. A battleship was anchored quietly. Enlia, Shangchun, Shangqiu, Shuzha, and Shangyu were gathering. Today, Shangyu looked more elegantly beautiful. Her pretty eyes were like real ice with cold light. Her bearings were still cold, but her frame was now inexplicably pretty. She was at first sky of incipient God realm. The safe route is open. They will head to Agate Star Area soon. Once they enter Agate Star Area, they will officially declare war with the God Clan, said Shangchun, his face indifferent. Have you made up your mind yet? We shouldn't care or participate in this, said Shuzha, Little Chin. You said that even if we won this war, we can't do anything in the future. The God Clan would still be the Star Overlords. I don't think it's a wise move to challenge them right now. Enlia nodded and agreed with her mother's opinion. She said, moreover, our family's force is limited. As drifting fire isn't joining this operation, we can't do much. We're just members of drifting fire anyway. We can't control the drifting fire, but we represent the drifting fire. If we join them, it means the drifting fire joins them, too. Potter doesn't have this idea, so we shouldn't do that, said Shuja. The God Clan has ruled the universe for so many years. It's time to take them down. They tried to kill my sister in the ancient continent. Should we let it slip away like that? Shouted Shangqiu. He was the one who wanted to fight. Shang Chun was calm. Pondering for a while, he looked at his daughter. You've reached incipient God realm. What do you think about this? No matter what you guys think, I must go to Agate Star area this time. Although her face was cold, her voice was determined. He saved me in the ancient continent. Today he's in trouble. I can't just stand and watch. Then, Shang Yingyu took a deep breath and said no more. She jumped on a war chariot and flew towards the battleships of the Jiao family. Then Leah grimaced. Shang Qiu looked shocked, laughing. After my sister had her breakthrough, she also got more guts. It's okay. I'm going with her to take care of her. Don't worry. Shang Chen smiled. He also used a war chariot to follow Shang Yingyu and didn't wait for his wife and mother-in-law to voice their opinions. We can keep the grown daughter in the house, sighed Leah. Boom, boom. The battleships from the major star area grumblingly started the engine and leaped into the space passage like unleashed immemorial beasts that disappeared in just a flash. Dash! Deep inside Shadow Ghostly Prison, a space passage suddenly glowed faintly. Something exploded. Then, many battleships emerged and packed the entire area. Countless battleships from the Gu God sect of Hollow Fearsome Star area, the Wu family of Prosaic Star area, the Jiao family of Sirius Star area, and Earth Eye Star area and Black River Star area came in many shapes and styles. All of them were polishing and shining with the cold feeling of new metal. Together, they intensely pressured people. Sha Zhao, Zhao Shan, Zhao Hai, the Wu brothers, Fuller, and Mo Fo were gathering in front of their main dock and watching each other. Shortly after, each of them rode the war chariots to meet at the center of the battleship arrangement. First, we should close the space passage connecting Agate Star area and the Ancient God Star area, suggested Sha Zhao. Everybody agreed with him. Before they had arrived from the magic image crystal, they knew that the main battlefield of Agate Star area would be Devil Blood Star. They knew where they would arrive, so they had already formulated a plan. After making some decisions, several thousand battleships moved to the entrance of the space passage connecting to Ancient God Star area. Right after that, they discharged countless tons of garbage, big rocks, and even bones of many broken battleships into the space passage entrance. Shortly after, the space passage was closed once again. Dozens of god warriors guarding the entrance were terrified to see so many battleships. They were killed instantly. It wasn't difficult to block the space passage, but it was much more laborious to open it again. The God Clan would have to spend a lot of efforts to reopen it. After the space passage closed, Sha Zhao, Zhao Shan, Fuller, and Mo Fo returned to their battleships. As planned before, groups of battleships headed directly to Devil Blood Star like schools of sharks. All the battleships disappeared shortly. Several days later, a mysterious space passage exploded grumblingly. It was pierced through right after the explosion. Many thousands of meters long battleships emerged like departed ghosts. Those battleships were so massive that they were in the shape of immemorial beasts. They looked so animated. Those battleships carried many monster warriors with pure blood. They were cultivating in chambers inside the battleships. The blood chi of those monsters was abundant, and it surged like the sea. Song Yun was standing on the dock of a battleship. He observed the area, his face excited. The battleship had many elderly men with eyes that had experienced many ups and downs in life. They looked so senile that even moving their body was hard for them. Although they looked so old, the energy fluctuating from them was terrifying, indeed. It was some sort of aura of a warrior who had experienced many adverts for tens of thousands of years. Only the strongest warriors of the monster clan could have such auras. They were the true experts of the monster clan that Bath and Gute called Heavenly Monster Warriors. They were the great monsters at level 13. With their extreme power, they could compare to Gu Te and Bath at incipient god realm. At the same time, their bloodline was purer. The power of their bodies had increased over time as they were getting older, but not weaker. The heavenly monster tribe was a race where the old warriors were much more powerful than the young ones. It seems like they've arrived before us, Song Yun muttered when he watched the blocked space passage from a distance. The heavenly monster tribe was forced by the bloodthirsty force to join this war. Anyway, Song Yun had planned to visit Agate Star area to find Shi Yin. He needed Shi Yin to show him the way to Grace Mainland, their ancestral planet. After that, he would move the heavenly monster tribe back to the continent. The remaining warriors of the heavenly monster tribe had divided into two groups. Song Yun led one group to Agate Star area to find Shi Yin and help him beat up the two big families of the God Clan. This group consisted of mostly young members of the heavenly monster tribe with some older precursors. The other group included the elderly heavenly monster warriors who were going to the secret land to wake up the holy ancestor of the heavenly monster tribe. Song Yun knew that they would win the war in Agate Star area this time. He knew that the bloodthirsty force had discreetly mobilized the major forces around the universe. They would strike the Ascot family and the Fernandez family hard. Thus, the force of the heavenly monster tribe sent to this war consisted of mostly the young warriors to gain experience. Let's go to Devil Blood Star. Song Yun observed the area to check the situation and then gave the order. Although the battleships of the heavenly monster tribe were so enormous, they moved inaudibly. They flew at fast speeds without making a sound. Dash! Devil Blood Star, the Blood Pond. Many people don't want to fight anymore. They want to leave Agate Star area. It's too bad that they can't find the way out. Fu Wei looked at Shi Yin and sighed sadly. The God Clan is too intimidating. They have scared all the forces in Agate Star area. Besides the Blood Legion that Leona commanded that has won several small battles, no one else has ever defeated the God Clan's core. They were dismantled right at the first attempt. Taking a deep breath, Fu Wei wore a sour face. The union of our potion and tool pavilion, divine light, and fighting league has stopped the God Clan at the cost of many warriors. Listening to her, Feng Han, Lin Xian, Qi Zhe, Feng Yin, and Zhu Bo also looked mournful. Throughout the 10 years, they had undergone many lethal events. They knew how terrible and painful it was to remember. So, if they have a space passage, they could use it to escape Agate Star area and many of them would leave? Shi Yin frowned as he asked. Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian nodded. To be honest, many people are trying to find a way to leave. Right now, they regret it a lot because their precursors had closed the space passages in the shadow ghostly prison that lead to the world out there. Right now, they are like fish in the tank. They don't have any exit, said Fu Wei begrudgingly. What do you think? Asked Shi Yin in a low-pitched voice. Potion and Tool Pavilion is the stone for Agate Star area to step on. Even if we have to shed the last drop of blood, we will defend until we die. Fu Wei gritted her teeth. Feng Han and Lin Xian nodded. How about the others? Asked Shi Yin. Yin Qi will defend until he dies. I think Bing Jie of the Ice Clan and the Jing Yinwan of the Crystal Clan won't dare to bet and bear the consequences of the obliteration of their races. If they could run away, they would have done it already. In fact, half of the forces on Devil Blood Star want to leave. It's too bad that they couldn't find the way, sighed Fu Wei. What do you want to tell me? Pondering for seconds, Shi Yin lifted his head to look at Fu Wei. Can you contact Fiery Rain Star area? We need reinforcements. If Fiery Rain Star area's situation isn't too harsh, we should borrow their force. We can pay any price they name. We have materials and crystals. We can even give life stars if they want. Fu Wei stooped and whispered. If she still had a choice, she would have never said that. Agate Star area was their homeland. Using pieces of the homeland to be the price to resist the God Clan wasn't something she really wanted to do. She had no choice. You guys can't count on Fiery Rain Star area. Their situation isn't better than ours, Shi Yin said faintly. Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian were filled with despair. Chapter 1206, Blood Devil's Breakthrough. Chapter 1206, Blood Devils Breakthrough _ Several thousand silver battleships were moving slowly in the galaxy. The light from the stars on their way had illuminated and made the silver battleships sparkle and emit a crystal-clear halo. The shining silver battleships under the starlight had many flags of the family crest of the 12 great families of the God Clan. This was the God Clan's fleet, the movable sharp weapons that they could bring anywhere. Fick, the current chief of the Ascot family, was standing on the deck of a battleship. He was holding a glass of wine and enjoying his time. Sloane stood next to him, his face cold and stern. He seemed to be waiting for something. He was silent. His eyes looked cold and sinister. Phelps stood in the corner and waited on them. He was looking in the direction of Devil Blood Star, his eyes resentful. A light shot out from a far distance like a rainbow crossing the sky. It reached them immediately. The space energy was clear. Bello of the Dark Shadow Clan arrived. Sloane looked shaken as he hissed, "So? I'm sure that Yin Qi, Bing Jie, and Jing Yuan are in Devil Blood Star. It's their last resort of Agate Star Area where all the remaining forces of Agate Star Area gathered," said Bello. The Dark Shadow Clan was the watchdog of the God Clan. They were also famous for their investigation and ability in gathering intelligence in this cosmos. Bello was the chief of this clan. With his space power Upanishad, he could come and leave without leaving a trace. His soul consciousness could reach regions far away. If he conducted the investigation himself, it wouldn't be a mistake. Our distinguished war chariots move around Devil Blood Star. We found that the Monster Clan and Demon Clan are gathering their forces. It's true that if we can take Devil Blood Star down, Agate Star Area will be in our hands. As per your advice, I checked the area myself. I didn't find an energy fluctuation of the space formation or any signal of a space passage, said Bello respectfully. Sloane looked happy. We can finally clean them up? Fick shook his head with a smile and waved his hands. Don't be too extreme. We're not coming to Agate Star Area to obliterate all the races here. We just want to claim this star area to take the natural resources here. Sloane and Bello stooped slightly as they listened to him. Our clan can rule the whole universe and defeat many star areas and clans. It isn't because of extreme deeds of the Charteris family. Fick swayed the glass of crimson in his hand. None of those clans in Agate Star Area have receded yet because they're not really hopeless. But it's not like that anymore. His son, Phelps, participated in their conservation. Father is right. As long as our battleships arrive in Devil Blood Star and surround it, we will snatch their hopes away. Then, if we throw them the olive branch, I think at least half of them will follow us. In front of death, many people will throw their pride away. Fick smiled and nodded. Sloane contemplated and then said, I got it. I will contact the Fernandez family and the Bai family to tell them your opinions. Blood Pond, Devil Blood Star. Swoosh. The blood cocoon covering Blood Devil shattered. The naked Blood Devil got up from the cocoon. He looked like a tall and sturdy demogorgon with a world-frightening, majestic aura. He stood like a grand mountain that made people look at him in awe and respect. Third sky of incipient God realm. Boom. Blood Devil took one step. The ground under his foot trembled, cracking and exploding. The brutal energy directly entered deep underground. He was bewildered as he stood awkwardly at his spot. He didn't dare to move rashly. As he had just broken through to third sky of incipient God realm, his energy had increased several times. Currently, he couldn't control his new power sufficiently. Outside of the Bloodlight line, Shi Yin, Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian were shocked. The leaders of the small forces dropped their jaws and gawked. The two old dragons Gute and Bath screamed like a big bell. Holy **T. This time, we're no match compared to you. Swoosh. Blood Devil didn't dare to walk anymore. He directly leaped up into the sky. Then, he descended and slowly stood in front of Shi Yin. His dark red eyes studied Shi Yin as he thundered, Kid, finally you're back. Yeah, what are the things you threw into the blood pond? How could they create a formidable blood chi like that? It helped me double the amount of the immortal demon blood in my body. More than anyone, he knew that if he didn't have the 7 blood essence crystals, let alone reaching third sky of incipient god realm. He couldn't even get stronger. After many years of service, the blood pond was worn out. The energy it could retain wasn't abundant anymore. It happened when he had opened the blood pond to the Yang family's members and let them use the pond to transform and create immortal demon blood. Then, he knew that it would hard to break through one more time using the blood pond. Their blood essence crystals, an original incipient grade material. To us, nothing could compare to that stone's marvelous effects, Shi Yin answered with a smile. Hearing him, Blood Devil was stunned. Divine light shot out from his eyes. Oh, it's an original incipient grade material. No wonder. Even Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian were bewildered. Now, they knew that Shi Yin had played an important role as Blood Devil could reach third sky of incipient god realm. As Shi Yin could use original incipient grade material deliberately, the other warriors were surprised to see his wealth. It was an original incipient grade material, one of the most rare and precious cultivating materials in the world. Blood Devil, congratulations on reaching third sky of incipient god realm. Congratulations, Precursor Blood Devil. Congratulations, Precursor Blood Devil. Fu Wei, Feng Han, and the leaders of the small forces congratulated Blood Devil for his breakthrough. After they recovered from the excitement, Blood Devil's face darkened as he frowned. The chiefs of the Ascot family, the Fernandez family, and the Bai family are at third sky of incipient god realm. On our side, besides Yin Qi and me, we don't have more warriors at third sky of incipient god realm. We're in a bad situation, let alone the differences between the overall competences of our legions. Hearing him, people quieted down and their face grimaced. Everybody knew that he was telling the truth. So only Yin Qi is at third sky of incipient god realm in Agate Star area? I heard differently, though. Shi Yin sounded skeptical. Yeah, it's true that we don't have only Yin Qi, we have some other experts. Unfortunately, just like Shang Chun, they aren't in Agate Star area. They often travel to other star areas. Those people have their methods to leave a star area. We can't contact them or locate them. Fu Wei was begrudging. Yeah, some of them have disappeared for hundreds of years. Ghost knows where they've gone, sighed Feng Han. Everybody winced sadly. Of course, Blood Devil breaking through to third sky of incipient god realm was a good thing to them. However, it wasn't enough to overturn the situation. The God Clan's threat was still in the air. When the God Clan's army attacked fiercely, the forces in Devil Blood Star wouldn't be able to resist it. The atmosphere was so heavy. Shi Yin suddenly looked at Fu Wei and said, "Do you have empty fantasy crystals and other materials to build a space formation? Can you gather them immediately?" Fu Wei was surprised, asking, "What do you want to do?" "I can build the space formation to make way for people who want to leave Agate Star area." Shi Yin lowered his voice. When he talked, he had built up a space barrier to seal his area. His voice wouldn't be heard by others outside the barrier. Feng Han, Blood Devil, and Fu Wei discolored. Feng Han shouted, "You want to run away?" Shi Yin wore a cold face as he looked at the man. "I understand the God Clan. When their army approaches, they will entice the others. They will throw them an olive branch, making the others recede and follow them. Then, during a moment of despair, many people will retreat and follow them. They can even turn around and bite us to join the God Clan's side." Everybody looked fearful listening to him. They didn't understand the God Clan. They just thought that the God Clan would hunt them to the last member. Unlike Shi Yin, after he had survived the ancient continent, he had a deeper knowledge of the God Clan. If what Shi Yin had described happened, it would be a terrible nightmare for them. Until then, many forces on Devil Blood Star would be enticed. In their worst despair, they would turn around and attack the members of their alliance to survive. Perhaps, the God Clan didn't need to waste their warriors before the internal structure of Devil Blood Star had become chaotic and dissolved. In fact, when the God Clan invaded the other star areas, this method always helped them defeat the native forces easily. Only when they encountered extremely stubborn clans would they apply the Charteris method. They would obliterate that race. It was also the worst scenario. We can't estimate how many warriors will recede and betray us. For safety reasons, it would be better to deliver them out of Agate Star area. At least, to us, the ones who have expected death or lived through a war, we don't need to worry about our backs, said Shiryan solemnly. You're really thoughtful. Well thought. I agree, said Lin Xian. Fu Wei also nodded. We can help you gather the materials you want. No worry. Yes, you're right. We should deal with our internal matters first. Blood Devil also agreed with him. Feng Han nodded. He looked embarrassed because he had misunderstood Shiryan. Shiryan didn't tell them that he had a backup and reinforcements. It was because he wasn't so sure that Shangchun could invite them. Also, he hadn't received any information from Shangchun. If everything weren't so sure, he wouldn't dare to disclose. But he had something that boosted his confidence. His co-soul was in Grace Mainland. His co-soul and host soul could contact each other in every second. In addition, he had the space power Upanishad. As long as he wanted, he could open a space passage any time to bring his family and relatives to Grace Mainland directly. Thus, if they still had the last moment, he could still deliberately escape. He wasn't really hurried. Help me prepare the materials. I'm going to build a big-scale space formation. You can notice the other forces. Whoever doesn't want to stay can tell us and leave, said Shiryan. Okay. Fu Wei regarded him, spreading his order immediately. Chapter 1207. Shake the entire sea of stars. Chapter 1207. Shake the entire sea of stars. Under the sharp-edged empty fantasy crystal spun in the air. They looked transparent and sparkling while it released a beautiful halo. The octagonal phoenix bone stones filled the cracks of those crystals, which looked like fine silk threads gently sewing the crystals all together. A fulgent white but cold flame was dancing. Although it was burning, the crystals were frozen and connected to each other. Shiryan's 10 fingers moved like wind blades in the air that carved a magical formation. Shortly after, a marvelous drawing like a starry sky was carved on the surface of the crystal. It indeed looked beautiful and magical. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Thousands of starlight beams flashed and then disappeared into the center of the profound space formation. The gold and orange flames danced and covered dozens of rare materials to refine and discharge the contaminants. The materials then became shiny and clear. They turned into thin slices like items that then patched the cracks on the drawings. All happened in a forbidden land by the blood pond. Gute, Blood Devil, and Bath were protecting Shiryan. Fu Wei watched from a distance, her beautiful eyes sparkling with strange light. She was stunned. Uncle Duo, you also cultivate space power Upanishad. If I give you the same materials, can you build the space formation that can cross the star area boundary? She turned around and looked at Jaduo of Potion and Tool Pavilion, an expert with space power Upanishad at Third Sky of Ethereal God Realm. Jaduo was the blacksmith of Potion and Tool Pavilion. He had built most of the fantasy sky rings and the small-scale teleport formations for Potion and Tool Pavilion. He was a respectful blacksmith of Agate Star Area in terms of building space treasures. That year when Fu Wei had just met Shiryan, she found him cultivating space power Upanishad. She wanted to recommend him to Potion and Tool Pavilion and have him become Jaduo's assistant. He could help the blacksmith refine some junk items. Feng Han, Lin Xian, Qi Zhe, and Feng Yin heard her, so they all turned around to look at Jaduo, their faces odd. Jaduo shook his head with a forced smile and sighed. I can't build such a big formation. Why not? Fu Wei asked gently. First of all, I don't have excellent heaven flames like him. It makes it hard to combine all the materials perfectly. Also, it's hard to carve the drawings on the formation. Second, my god power isn't as condensed as his. I can't bear the power for a long time to finish the formation. Third, my understanding of space power Upanishad isn't as profound as his. Jaduo wore a bitter and sad face as he felt lost. How much time has passed? The young man he didn't bother to look at that year had become the most prominent warrior of the new generation. His attainment of space power Upanishad had also surpassed his. Jaduo couldn't accept it. Fu Wei, Lin Xian, and Feng Han threw him a glance and then turned away, sighing dispiritedly. Shiryan had grown rapidly. His strong power pressured each of them. 6 hours later, the vivid red flames shrouded the mysterious space formation that was around 10 mu of land. It looked like a red sea with a scorching flame and smoke. Shortly after, the flame cooled down and became a hazy mist. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The thick cold fog diffused and got diluted. After the fog vanished, people saw a beautiful, exquisite, crystal square-like formation. This space teleport formation was made of hundreds of rectangular, triangular, and rhombus-like empty fantasy crystals. At first glance, it looked like a surface mosaicked with many different shaped pieces of crystals that dazzled people. In between the pieces of empty fantasy crystals were many magical jade and emerald materials. A marvelously complex formation connected them entirely. The entire space teleport formation was like a masterpiece of art that people didn't dare to touch. They just admired its incredible aesthetic beauty. Shi Yin stood in the center of the formation, his soul consciousness flickering. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The starlight beams weaved like shuttles. In just a blink of an eye, they created a magnificent star net above the formation. It looked like a real, dreamy, and incredible starry night. Awesome. So beautiful. Spectacular. Fu Wei, Lin Xian, and Feng Han had a strange light in their eyes. They were mesmerized and couldn't hide their awe. Shi Yin was a little stunned. Looking at the magnificent starry net, he felt like he was immersed in the sea of sky and traveling around the galaxy. It felt refreshing and amazing indeed. Today, he finally recognized how magical it was when his co-soul merged with Grace Mainland. There was no distance between his co-soul and host soul. Although he was on Devil Blood Star and Agate Star area, he could easily summon heaven flames despite the space between them. It was so easy that it had freaked him out for a while. He knew that his co-soul and host soul were many star areas apart, but they could connect with each other almost instantly. It was so magical that he found it hard to describe it. A strange light spot was twinkling in the middle of the star net. It looked brilliant like a real star. Shi Yin stood up and nodded to Fu Wei's group. He then said, "It's all good now. Did you notify them?" Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Lin Xian nodded continuously. Shi Yin chuckled and said, "I'm going to test it. You guys watch this place for me." Then, he urged the space energy to trigger the radiant star in the middle of the star net. A sparkling passage slowly emerged right in the center of that marvelous formation. Shi Yin flashed and then disappeared. Cloudy Water Star, Fantasy Mist Star Area. Shi Yin appeared in a gloomy stone chamber. He frowned and found a small teleport formation in this room that looked similar to the one Shang Chun had used on the Dead Star. Each space teleport formation had a precise location. If he could locate them, he could teleport easily. From the teleport formation under the ground of that Dead Star, Shi Yin guessed that Shang Chun often used it to go to Fantasy Mist Star Area. It turned out he was correct. The stone room had a corridor leading up. He followed the corridor to get out of the room. Shortly after, he heard a surprised scream. Then, he saw Shang Qiu. "I am Shi Yin from Agate Star Area. I have something to discuss with the master of this place." Shi Yin spoke frankly and simply. Shang Qiu was bewildered. He studied Shi Yin for a while, and then said, "Follow me." 5 minutes later, Shang Qiu took Shi Yin to the icy chamber where Shang Yingyu used to cultivate. Enlia and Shuja were here. They all looked at him with stern and questioning faces. "Why are you here? Didn't Shang Chun and Little Yu come to Agate Star Area? You haven't met them yet?" Enlia studied him then asked. Her first impression of Shi Yin wasn't good. As he had just finished building the space teleport formation, he had stains on his clothes and face. He also looked tired. "They've gone to Agate Star Area?" Shi Yin was shocked. He shook his head. "I haven't met them yet. I didn't come here through the teleport formation Shang Chun often uses. I've just finished building one. I came here to ask you to." He explained his idea simply. Enlia, Shuja, and Shang Qiu were baffled. They listened to him, their faces astounded. You've just built a legendary space teleport formation that can cross star areas?" After a while, Shuja asked seriously. Shi Yin nodded. Can you show us? We want to see Devil Bloodstar now that you've mentioned it. If it's true, we can help you, said Shuja all of a sudden. Sure can. 15 minutes later. The teleport formation by the blood pond on Devil Blood Star glowed up radiantly. Shi Yin, Shangqiu, and Leah and Shuja appeared in the center of the formation. Blood Devil, Fu Wei, and the others discolored in fright. They were astounded. After they had arrived, and Leah and Shuja began to observe the new teleport formation. After a while, they walked to Shi Yin, their faces stunned. Now they looked at Shi Yin differently. As far as they knew, the warrior who could refine marvelous a space teleport formation that could transfer people through star areas should be an incipient god realm expert cultivating space power Upanishad. In this vast sea of stars, there weren't so many warriors who could cultivate space power Upanishad to incipient god realm. Each of them was a crucial character who was welcomed everywhere as the most distinguished guest. Even the God Clan had to open their gate for this sort of warrior. As Shi Yin had just reached ethereal god realm and his primary power wasn't space power Upanishad, he had astounded people when he reached such high attainment. They didn't know that Shi Yin had visited the fountainhead of power Upanishad with his own body. Dozens of thousands of years had passed and only a warrior with the Genesis fruit could have such an honor. As Shi Yin had fused with the Genesis fruit, his heat control in using the heaven flames had become so marvelous. All of these magical conditions had made him a powerful freak. Who are they? Blood Devil, Bath, Gu Te, and Feng Han surrounded him. Warriors from Fantasy Miss Star area, Shi Yin explained, and then turned to Leah. Please help us arrange a place for our refugees. Is there any problem? Well, you guys don't need to move. Shangqiu interfered, his face awkward. You don't know what's going out there, do you? Shi Yin was surprised. Blood Devil, Bath, and Gu Te couldn't understand anything. They looked at Shangqiu as they didn't understand. What happened? Asked Shi Yin. The experts of the Gu God sect in Hollow Fearsome Star area, the Wu family from Prosaic Star area, the Jiao family from Sirius Star area, Fuller of Earth Eye Star area, and Mofo of Black River Star area received your calling. They've sent their battleships to Agate Star area. Well, their forces are enough to attack even Ancient God Star area, let alone defend against two families. Because of your influence, the Ascot family and the Fernandez family will be eliminated. I don't know what you were worried about, said Shangqiu. Shi Yin was shaken. Blood Devil, Feng Han, Fu Wei, and the others were perplexed. They looked at Shi Yin as if they were watching an old monster. He said the truth? Shi Yin asked Shuja. Because of you, the entire universe is moving. But you know nothing about it. It's interesting. Shuja frowned. Little Chen told us that even the heavenly monster tribe and the bloodthirsty force were joining this war. They've prepared to swallow the two families of the God Clan. The number of forces we know that are joining this operation is enough to hunt them to the last member. Someone is building a foundation for you, making you known to the entire universe. They now know what you represent, said Leah. What do I represent? Shi Yin was almost speechless. You represent the force that could face the God Clan directly, which has finally emerged, hissed Leah. Everybody was dumbstruck. They had never thought that Shi Yin could have such power. He was able to shake the entire cosmos. Who is this man after all? Feng Han, Lin Xian, Bath, and Fu Wei began to contemplate. Chapter 1208, Snatch Money. Chapter 1208, Snatch Money, _ Because of Shi Yin alone, the galaxy was shaken. Countless battleships and experts were marching to Agate Star area. Was it true? Feng Han and Fu Wei were frightened as they didn't know the information. In their eyes, Shi Yin now had a veil of mysteries that no one could see through. So, do you still need to move people to Fantasy Miss Star area or not? Asked Leah. As many warriors were heading here, the Ascot family, the Fernandez family, and the Bai family wouldn't have a decent end. Shi Yin could tell them the actual situation and make them stay, waiting for the reinforcements. They didn't need to move anymore. Fu Wei's group had considered the situation. The cowards who are afraid of death don't have the right to live in this world. We still move them. Shuryen hissed. Do you have any barren and remote place in Fantasy Mist Star area? I'm afraid that the ones who want to run away will be many. They will affect your Fantasy Mist Star area. Yeah, Shang Chun used to set up the coordinates in the desolate southwest of Fantasy Mist Star area. It's an abandoned mine on a dead mineral star. Although ordinary people couldn't live there, it's not a problem for warriors. And Leah said, I can show you which way it is. There's a small teleport formation that only my family knows. Shang Chun had set it up earlier. Then we choose that area. Shi Yan's eyes brightened. He turned to Fu Wei and Lin Xian. You guys notify them immediately. Tell them anyone who doesn't want to defend until Death and Devil Blood Star should gather here. We will deliver them away. Also, tell them that once they decide to go, there's no way back. Fu Wei and Lin Xian were shocked. They nodded to him, and then turned to order their subordinates. Please tell me the precise location. Shi Yan bowed slightly to ask Enlia. Enlia didn't owe him anything. Of course, he had to be humble. Moreover, she was Shang Yingyu's mother. No problem. Enlia told him the coordinates. Shi Yan adjusted his space teleport formation. A new space passage was formed. He got through it directly. He stepped on a dry, desolate mineral star where there were a lot of damages. It was the consequences of overexploitation. It looked shattered with a lot of bottomless holes. There was no life energy fluctuation. Outside this mineral star, there were some dead stars or mineral stars and nothing else but a dark voice. None of these were suitable for warriors to cultivate. The living conditions here were so harsh it was just a temporary shelter. Anyway, it satisfied Shi Yan. He sneered and returned to Devil Blood Star, calculating something in his head. Do you want me to send you back? Shi Yan asked Enlia. It's a rare chance to visit another star area. We will stay here for several days. We don't have anything rushed anyway, said Enlia. When she looked at Shi Yan now, it was strange as if a parent was checking her soon-to-be son-in-law. She wanted to know him better. Shi Yan, of course, didn't have any opinion about this. Everybody surrounded the space teleport formation and waited in silence. Many forces with their battleships were staying in a mountain range where Earth and Heaven energy was hovering. Among them was a fire crystal battleship where Yin Qi, Bing Jie, and Jing Yuan were discussing with the experts of their clans. They just received news. Shi Yan had brought a space teleport formation. This information had astounded all of them. Bing Jie, Jing Yuan, and the new chief of the Ghost Mark clan, Stark, became excited. They were discussing and giving orders continuously. Only Yin Qi kept quiet with a grimace. He looked as if he was trying to press down his anger. I thought we would die eventually in Devil Blood Star. We're no match against the God clan. No one thought that that kid still had some trick. Bing Jie was so happy that she couldn't help it. She temporarily forgot how Shi Yan had humiliated her. She told the others resolutely, Our Ice clan has decided to leave. I don't want my clan to be killed here. Of course, our Ghost Mark clan wants to evacuate. Who wants to stay and die here? Said Stark. Our Wood clan will also move. Our Dark Spirit clan will leave too. Everybody became clamored. Yin Qi's face got darker. After a while, he grunted when he saw Jing Yuan keep silent. How about you? What's your plan? The Fire Clan and the Crystal Clan were the oldest clans in Agate Star area. They were born in Agate Star area, so they had rooted here with affection and dependence. That was why Jing Yuan was hesitant. She hadn't made any decision yet. Do you want to run away too? Yin Qi snorted. I will let the juniors leave. The old experts and I will stay. I can't be as heartless as you, sighed Jing Yuan. Yin Qi's face became better. He nodded and then waved his hand. Except JJ, all of you should get off my battleships. We don't welcome you. A brutal scorching energy expanded from Yin Qi. The other clansmen of the Fire Clan, standing around, also didn't have good faces as they looked at Bing Jie's group disdainfully. Bing Jie and Stark discolored. They didn't talk more and just left using their war chariots. After they had left the battleship, the others then heard Bing Jie muttering, Too stubborn. If you want to die, don't blame the others. Don't drag all of your clansmen with you. Crazy. Yin Shi grimaced and looked at the clansmen of the Fire Clan. He shouted, "What do you say? We pledge our lives to protect our homeland." All the experts of the Fire Clan kneeled down, facing the sky and screaming. Their voices reached the sky. By the blood pond, the experts of many forces came and packed the area. They surrounded the blood ponds in thousands of layers. More and more people were coming. Shi Yin was floating in the air and watching the area. He couldn't help but sigh. He didn't think that there were so many cravens and cowardly people like that. At least half of the forces gathering in Devil Bloodstar had come. Apparently, they all wanted to leave. Descending from the air, Shi Yin wore a dark face, but he felt upset inside. It turned out that when the catastrophe was near, humans showed their despicable face like this. Fu Wei, Feng Han, Lin Xian, and Blood Devil grimaced. They didn't expect to see so many people like this. It was beyond their estimation. "Can you open the formation now?" Bing Jie came with all the warriors of her Ice Clan, her face impatient. Standing behind her were warriors of the Wood Clan and Ghostmark Clan. Shi Yin shot her a cold look. Bing Jie was frightened. She shut up embarrassedly. She was afraid of Shi Yin, as if he would ambush her at any minute. "Get in line. We can teleport 1,000 people at a time. You need to provide divine crystals. It costs 1 million top-quality divine crystals every time." Shi Yin thundered. 1 million divine crystal each time. Too exaggerated. You want to snatch our money? Why do you need a lot of divine crystals? What a ripoff. They jumped up and cursed Shi Yin for lacking morality. Even if he was about to die, he still wanted to earn money. Only people can go. War chariots and battleships can't get through. Whoever wants to leave have to submit 1 million divine crystals. Also, you have to tell how to unlock the battleships left behind and the details of the containers. Shi Yan's eyes were cold and harsh. He didn't mind their screaming and cursing. People who have done the procedure of submitting divine crystals and declaring the information about their battleships can go early. 1 million divine crystal to leave, and they have to leave their battleships and materials behind. This fella is vicious. Shang Qiu expressed his admiration. The number of divine crystals and battleships he got this time can be counted with an astronomical unit. This kid is brutal. He has skinned them indeed. And Leah was also astonished. "I like him. He's a qualified businessman." Shuja had a strange halo release from her old eyes. Declaring the items in the battleships and paying 1 million divine crystals for every 1,000 passengers pressured Bing Jie and Stark heavily. Each of the clan had dozens of thousands of clansmen. It meant they had to pay hundreds of millions of divine crystals. They had to puke out the accumulations of hundreds of years. Many people couldn't accept it. Shi Yin spoke up again. "This space teleport formation can't work forever. Every time we operate it, it will consume a lot of energy. I think it can endure around a couple hundred times. Whoever pays first can go first. If you are late, I'm afraid you can't leave." His words boiled them up once again. Some leaders of the small force couldn't hold it anymore. They hurried to make way, raising their hands and shouting, "I have 1 million divine crystals. I want to proceed quickly. I'm telling you the items in my battleships. We can't bring them together anyway." "I do too. I'm willing to pay. Please let me through, please. Oh, please. I want to submit the fee. Please let me go. Give way my ass. I'm going to pay the fee too." Everybody was boiled up. After they knew this small issue of the space teleport formation, they changed their countenance and tried to go to the front to submit the fee to leave. They rose the fantasy sky ring above their heads and tried to proceed to leave. They were the leaders of the small forces. "Oh, this kid can earn money we had to struggle hard to get for several hundred years in 1 hour," said Bettina, the third elder of Potion and Tool Pavilion. She gasped in amazement. "He can do business better than us. I have to say that I'm convinced after this business." And the key point is even though they know they're tricked, they still want to join. Excellent. Fu Wei's bright eyes sparkled. She admired Shi Yan's deed wholeheartedly. Bing Jie and Stark were hesitant for a while, and many people had pushed them from behind to go to the front. They winced and wore grimaces. Pondering for a while, they knew that they didn't have another option around. If they didn't want their clan to get obliterated, they had to move forward. Otherwise, what else could they do? Son, take care. Remember to take care of your sister too. Honey, you must live well. You guys should go. Promise me that no matter what happens, you have to survive. You have to live well. Outside the teleport formation, the leaders of the small forces turned around and bid the last goodbyes to their families. Unexpectedly, they didn't decide to leave. They had paid the ripped-off price to find a way to survive for their wives and children and for their soldiers' families. However, they decided to stay and fight. OF*CK, aren't we going to die with the God clan altogether? I don't believe they have 3 heads or 6 hands. Let's use our blood and lives to show them the big price they have to pay since they dared to invade our homeland. Perhaps we can use our deaths to exchange for a new life for Agate's star area. And maybe my kids can return to this land. They can come home in the future. Yeah, we will risk our life. Even if we have to die, we have to take some with us. When I decide to stay, I don't care about life or death. Shi Yin watched everything silently. He felt a prickle in his nose. Then, he discreetly changed the coordinates to lead to Cloudy Water Star. Those people wouldn't come to the dead, desolate land. They would arrive at the safe and wealthy sea territory of Fantasy Mist Star area. Their fates were destined to be different from Bingjia's and Stark's. Chapter 1209. Respect. Chapter 1209. Respect _ The space teleport formation glowed and sparkled. The mysterious, magnificent star map looked like a real galaxy where 2 brighter stars were shining. Not many people noticed the 2 stars or knew the mysteries behind them. Since they didn't know space power Upanishad, they couldn't understand what the 2 stars represented. However, some people knew what they were. Jaduo, who cultivated space power Upanishad, and Enlia's team, who came from Fantasy Mist Star area, were aware. Since they knew many things about the space teleport formation, they knew it all just from the little details. Enlia and Shuja exchanged looks. They nodded perceptibly. Jaduo understood it, but he couldn't tell the others. He looked bewildered. Gradually, the crowd of warriors of the other forces gathering by the blood pond decreased in number. Bingjie and Stark had submitted the expensive fees and then ran away, leaving the battleships and the items in them behind. The area they were heading to was going to hold them from rising for at least 100 years. Standing by the teleport formation, Shi Yin was indifferent. He had connected the 2 spaces for several hundred times. The teleport formation flashed for the last time as the last group of warriors disappeared. Shi Yin kept silent for a while before shouting, "Anyone else wants to leave Agate Star area?" Everybody kept silent. People gathering from different places around Devil Blood Star were warriors of the forces around the star area. Millions of them were all warriors and not ordinary people. Agate Star area had around hundreds of billions of people. A part of them was killed in this disaster, while most of them were ordinary people living in normal residential areas where thick earth and heaven energy or crystals to exploit weren't there. The warriors didn't want to live in those regions. The God clan wasn't interested in low, weak, ordinary people. When the war happened, the forces around the star area had sent their ordinary people to seek shelter in those resident areas. To the God clan, people there weren't different from tiny, vulnerable ants. They didn't lay their eyes on those life stars. Without precious crystals, the God clan were never going to waste their efforts there. The exploitation required a lot of slaves, and they needed slaves that had cultivated power Upanishad. Ordinary people couldn't do that. If they had to dig several thousand meters deep into the ground, they would die because of a lack of oxygen. To the God clan, ordinary people weren't useful at all. There were around dozens of millions of warriors who cultivated powers Upanishads in Agate Star area. A part of them had a tragic death in the war. Only several million could make it to Devil Blood Star. However, 90% of them couldn't join the battle because their realms were under King God Realm. 70 or 80,000 warriors at King God Realm and above could be the main force to join the frontier. Looking at the silent warriors, Shi Yan's face became strange. He made a simple calculation and found that the ones he had delivered away were large in number, but they were useless in fighting. All of them were under King God Realm, and they were the children or grandchildren of the warriors who stayed. The warriors standing here were all at King God realm and above. They were the main force, and they had decided to stay and defend until their deaths. There weren't many leaders who had left with their clans like Bing, Jiao, and Stark. There were more leaders who decided to stay than estimated. It turned out that there were many people who had crossed their heart to die for their homeland when the catastrophe came. Shi Yin and Blood Devil, Bath were cheered up. Wulan Dajia, please check the divine crystals submitted by the forces that had only the juniors leave and the experts stayed, said Shi Yin. Wu Lan looked honored and happy when Shi Yin called her Dajia. She smiled at him, okay? As the leaders of those forces were about to leave, Shi Yin's words made them suspicious. I'm done. There are 6,530,000,000 divine crystals. Wu Lan smiled like a blooming flower. She was the major domo of Devil Bloodstar, so she knew that the number of divine crystals that Devil Bloodstar had accumulated for thousands of years couldn't reach this massive number. Wu Lan was so happy as if she could see money falling from the sky. Fu Wei, Jiaduo, and Enlia looked shocked too. 6,530,000,000 divine crystals was a massive fortune. It was more than the sum of revenue of more than 100 years in the business of potion and tool pavilion. Shi Yin had spent only one day to collect this amount. Precursor Enlia, could you do me a favor? Shi Yin asked all of a sudden. Tell me. Enlia was surprised. Later on, when you go back there, please give these divine crystals to the members of those families. I'm talking about the members of the clans whose experts decided to stay. Shi Yin pointed around. Many leaders of the small forces heard him. They were shaken as they thought that it was unbelievable. They never thought that Shi Yin would do this. Fu Wei, Feng Han, Lin Xian, and Blood Devil were dumbstruck. They didn't know why Shi Yin did that. 6,530,000,000 divine crystals was a huge sum that made their hearts beat faster because of their greed. Shi Yin decided to give them away. If he wanted to give them away, why did he try to snatch the money from them earlier? They couldn't explain his deed. To the leaders of those small forces, Shi Yin's decision was a marvelous thrill that made them jump and yell crazily. Many of them had worked for the whole life to accumulate 1,000,000 divine crystals. They had to bite their lips to submit the crystals and have their bloodline exist. They had cursed 18 generations of Shi Yin's family for his cruelty and said that he was a blood-sucking asshole. They didn't think that while they were bleeding inwardly, Shi Yin had given them a blessed decision. They believed that if their descendants could have 1,000,000 divine crystals, they could live well in any place. Their lives would be much better with good living and training conditions. This cheered them up. Enlia looked at Shi Yin deeply, her bright eyes filled with astonishment. After a while, she nodded and said, Don't worry. I will help you arrange it properly. Thank you. Shi Yin bowed to her. Why? Why did you do that? Shi Yin, give us your answer, Jing Yuan screamed. Not far from them, Yin Qi stood alone on a bleak hill. He also observed the situation over there. Shi Yin rose his hand. Everybody quieted down. I thought that under the desperate pressure of the God Clan, most of you would run away for your lives. To those individuals, I couldn't let them go easily. That was why I wanted to have a big bite. I didn't want them to live easily, said Shi Yin, his face stern. Then, I found that I was wrong. It turns out that many of you have decided to stay and defend. You know you must die, but you still stayed. You guys have earned my respect. If you dare to sacrifice your life, of course, I will protect your families. More than 6 billion divine crystals will be handed to your descendants. You earned them with your life. People were shaken. They looked at Shi Yin with red eyes. Some clenched their fists and gritted their teeth. The chief of the Fire Clan was also baffled. His stern face quivered as he nodded inwardly. Everybody, don't worry. We will properly arrange for your family members. We will assure their safety. We will make sure that they are treated well so you guys won't need to worry about them. Shi Yin's voice suddenly lowered. Prepare to fight to the death. Everybody shouted and screamed wildly to reply to him. Fu Wei, Feng Han, and Enlia looked at Shi Yin. The bearings he had shown them right now were like seals imprinted in the bottom of their hearts that they would never forget. Also, he had earned the acceptance from his friends, and the leaders of the remaining forces in Devil Bloodstar. This magical young man had touched people's hearts. His words had boosted their fighting spirit. His pep talk had given them a new formidable aura. Then, Shi Yan's orders were spread out. The forces from everywhere started to build defenses in the sky around Devil Bloodstar. No one was lazy. The strong affection was released, and it brought them the best moments of their life. They had built many strange and marvelous barriers to protect Devil Bloodstar. They had worked beautifully that Devil Bloodstar was almost waterproof. From outer space, Devil Bloodstar had countless light curtains like rainbows protecting the planet. As the light curtains were protecting Devil Bloodstar, the war chariots were patrolling every corner like swimming fish. Everything was ready to encounter the God Clan. They didn't need to worry about their families. Even death couldn't bother their spirits now. Now, they just wanted to damage the God Clan as much as they can, their union spirit extreme. In their teams, there was no coward. There was no warrior with the hope of being lucky in the battle. With their determined minds, those warriors wanted to deliver the God Clan a big surprise. They wanted to show the God Clan that Devil Bloodstar was a meat-grinding machine where they had to pay a bloody price. In the Dark Universe. I'm going to Devil Bloodstar alone. I need to contact that kid first. Otherwise, it's not easy to carry out the plan. Shang Chen was on a fulgent war chariot that looked as if it was made of white jade. He smiled at his daughter. It's close to Devil Bloodstar now. I found many guards of the Dark Shadow clan. You should tell Sha Zhao and the others. Tell them to stay calm. Is it okay if you go alone? Shang Yingyu asked worriedly. It's not dangerous if I go alone. Shang Chun sounded calm and relaxed. I've been traveling around the major star areas for several hundred years. What is there that I haven't seen? Don't worry. I have my methods. Yeah, when I go to Devil Bloodstar, I will contact you. I will tell Sha Zhao and the others to scatter and wait for the God Clan to fall into our trap. Shang Yingyu nodded. It's good then. Shang Chen smiled, his face strange. If I'm right, your mother is in Devil Bloodstar now. That kid must build a teleport formation. Oh! Shang Yingyu screamed in awe. Your mother has a small toy I made for her. I can sense her existence in the same star area. She should be in Devil Bloodstar now. I wonder what she thinks about that kid, muttered Shang Chen. Shang Yingyu suddenly felt tense. All right, you should talk to Sha Zhao and the others. I gotta go now. I will contact you guys soon. Shang Chen smiled. He flashed and leaped into the sea of stars. After several steps, he disappeared utterly. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.